For our Canadian lifters, pure passion, real results, what you put in your body should matter. Pure Vita Labs PVL supplements are clean, tested, and approved, powering athletes for over 25 years. They also power the KOTL podcast. You could trust PVL. Use code KOTL15 for partnership pricing at PVL.com. Six-pack Lapadat, we got Wascar Carpio, the 59-kilo American champion, coming in hot for the world championships. We were just talking offline about how crazy this is looking. It's absolutely stacked, man. And you were saying, so you were obviously paying heavy attention to the 59-kilo class. And previous years, so were you looking at the previous years, trying to look at what to expect?
Correct. You know, I mean, when I had first started this journey about 2.5 years ago, it was one of those things where I'm a type of individual that if I'm doing something, I'm pretty much gonna go all in, especially if I'm gonna take it 1% serious, I'm gonna be all in. So I early on learned about Fedoshenko, and then I started watching, but right when I got into powerlifting, right, it was right during the big peak of COVID. So that year's Worlds was canceled. So I kind of kept looking at what other 59 or 60s were doing at local meets. I was always on the database looking at what other people were doing, just like seeing like what's possible, what's out there, what's everybody else doing versus what I'm doing in the gym. So I was always doing my research and kind of seeing what other people were doing to kind of see like, well, do I really have a shot at doing what I believe I want to do or what I think I'm capable of. So I've always been doing research kind of deal.
Well, so looking at the 59s, previous years, like you were saying, some years at World Championships, you can get 3 guys, sometimes 5. How many are we looking at here?
I think it's 19 and one reserve, so 20.
Yeah, it's 19 with 1 reserve. It's crazy, man. For that weight class, 19 around, not like 19 people from around the world.
Right.
19 people from around the world are going to show up for the 59s.
Yes. Yes. And it's such a crazy thing that I feel like, I mean, in the mindset of the IPF, I feel like they always expect such a little turnaround that they put us before the opening ceremony. I don't know if anybody's seen that on the schedule, but the 59s are lifting before the opening ceremony. And that
well, so I didn't see the schedule yet, but who knows, man. This is logistically, I don't know how whoever's running this, the meet directors, like this is gonna be the craziest week. Absolutely. I don't know how they're going to do it, man. This is going to be to run like a true international event where you got people flying from all over the world coming in, and then you have to coordinate it with, so you have your own stream, but you also have to coordinate it with Eurosport, and they have like millions of people watching.
Yeah.
And the expectation on Eurosport, like on their end, when they got millions of people watching, they're like, I don't know the logistics of trying to coordinate all that, but I'm sure oh my God, man, it would be.
But and then also too, I mean, there's 19, assuming everybody shows up, we only have like a 3-hour window. So like before the ceremony. So just like you said, it's like making sure that everything flows smoothly. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on their seats.
Dude, it's got to be stressful as shit. At the very least, like obviously they're veterans, right? The people and this is the hardest part now. It's getting more and more difficult to give the world championships to like different host nations. Like if someone new was like, why don't you come to this city? It's really good. The city might be beautiful. The problem is, who is the meet director? It's going to be a team, but who's the team hosting this? Because you got to be sure. You cannot drop the ball. You drop the ball, everybody wants to jump on you.
For real.
So it's like they would rather go with like how well funded are you? If you got a lot of funding, you probably can afford a big team. If you can afford a big team, we could fly in a bunch of people. All right, this sounds okay. But if you ask, what's your funding like? And it sounds pretty tight. You'd be like, because just flying the media team in alone is like a good chunk of change. Like it's all going to cost a lot of money. So I don't know.
I think I lost you, Ryan. Hold on a sec.
I still got you. Again. But
There we go.
yeah, so like I was saying, yeah, so in terms of like collecting those bids and whatnot, it's difficult. A lot of people have ideas like this city would be amazing in that country. Why not that? It's like it's
Right.
more the logistics. Like some of these amazing cities in amazing locations, that city is amazing, but they got other things. So they're like, why are we going to give you? Like
Yeah.
you're trying to raise funds. There's a lot of background stuff. And yeah.
I wonder too, because wasn't this world supposed to be in Florida?
It was like supposed to was a strong language. It could have been. It was a
Could
bid. And,
got
but when you're bidding, that's one of the things where it's like if another nation comes, another city comes, and that city just is like, boom, here's the package we're giving. Then Florida or whomever would be like, well, we're not getting that. Like, they're like, have a nice world. It's like
let me know
we're
how
gonna
it
go
goes.
next year, maybe
Yeah.
next year. It's
Gotcha. Okay, okay.
like things happen. And with the size of this world, yeah, you're going with the biggest package that has like the ability to fly in. I mean, freak man, it's gonna be crazy.
And Malta is just gorgeous, man. I am so this is gonna be my first time international flying, and
Oh,
what a great spot to go, man. Yeah.
dude, it looks amazing. I love like historical landmarks and
Yes.
whatnot. And like this looks amazing, man. I started doing a little. You check out the videos and pictures. It's like, damn. And we all got a day off in the middle,
Yes.
so all the lifters are gonna go all out and like go,
Is
checking
that
it out.
on Wednesday? Is that
I
like
think it
the
is.
Wednesday of the week or
It's
something
in the
like that?
middle. I'd have
Okay.
to double check exactly which day,
Okay.
but that's pretty cool that everybody does.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they, once names started flooding in and they started seeing the numbers. I don't know if that was already done within the schedule when they were looking at doing the whole thing, or afterwards they decided, you know what, it's probably a good idea to put one of these in there.
Man, but I mean, the fact that everybody's got the same day is amazing because everybody can hang out. Like
Yeah,
everybody. The
that's
thing
true.
is, the people who have all already lifted are
Hmm.
hanging out a little different, huh?
Right.
You're gonna be like a little looser. You're gonna be a little like woo, like it's already done.
Yeah,
You're having whatever. So if you drink, you're having some cocktails, you're celebrating, or at least eating food, not worrying about it. You're not water loading or nothing like that. The people
correct.
who still have to lift, um, I mean, obviously not drinking if you drink, but you might be water loading, you might be watching what you eat, but at least you could still walk around and you're not sure
Exactly.
you got to conserve your energy though, but whatever, man. I'm
That's gonna be
commentating.
exciting. Yeah, I know you're commentating. You're gonna be having the time of your life, man.
So
That
like,
place.
I'm gonna like it's gonna be like a Jay-Z video for me, man.
And
I'm
then I
not
didn't even know, but it was one of the big movies or shows that was filmed there. I was
prob-
looking at the
Oh, Game of Thrones.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like,
Dude,
what?
I'm a huge Game of Thrones dude. So when I need to see these castles and whatnot,
Yes.
it looks so cool. I'm like, damn. I
I
know
need
it's the
to-
wow.
Yeah, I need to see that in person, and then I that's one of the shows that I want to watch as well. So it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna go backwards, see the place, then watch the show, and then I'm gonna compare it.
Dude, we gotta like reenact some of the events from Game of Thrones and shit. Some really nerdy shit that people
For
are gonna
real.
hate. Some
Oh
really
God.
cringy. But oh, you haven't seen Game of Thrones?
No, man, it's one of the shows that I want to watch, and the only reason I haven't watched it is because everybody has the same opinion on the very last season,
Right.
and it's like, man, all right, like now that I've heard that, it keeps me from like starting it because I know the ending is not gonna be, the hype, I guess you can say, but I guess it's up to me to judge and not to take somebody else's opinion.
No, that's pretty much the fact. But but no, all right. Well, that's a positive spin at the end, but I think you're gonna be disappointed. However, this is what I'll tell you. Seasons 1 through like 3, 4, 5-ish are absolute, like, I mean, some of the best television ever seen in my life. Like, I mean, like season 1, as long as you don't know spoilers. If you know all the spoilers, it ain't gonna hit the same. But if you don't, and you got to like you just got to avoid this. Season 1 rattled when it happened, and everyone who watched Game of Thrones knows exactly what it is.
Got
Season
it.
2, season 2, exact same. And I mean, I watched it. I was that dude. Look, here it is. Let me tell you who I was. All right.
My one boy was like trying to talk me into Game of Thrones. It's like 2000, whenever it first started, like
Uh-huh.
2014 or whatever. I remember we were all at like a sports bar watching a boxing or UFC, whatever. My buddies like um trying to tell me about it. And I'm like, dude, you're talking about dragons and wizards? Like, get the, I'm like, you're embarrassing me, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop talking right now. We're at a sports bar doing manly shit. What are you doing right now? And he was like, I'm just telling you, man, it's a really good blah blah blah. I'm like, no, man. So, anyways, I was super duper not in.
Uh-huh.
Watched the first season, and he's like, first few episodes, I get it. He's like, but stay until it happens. And then when I seen it, the big event from season one, I'm like blown away. And I'm like, I'm
Here we
in.
go.
And I'm like, that's it. I'm all the way in. And then when season two happened, there's something that happens in season two. I like was so rattled. I like called one of my buddies and I'm like, dude, I like feel feelings right now that I haven't like, I'm like rattled, man. He's like, oh yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, no, but
Okay.
I mean, like, there's
Okay.
visuals, there's events and visuals that happen that I'm like, I got up, man. I had to go for a walk and collect myself and think
Wow.
about things and be like,
Okay.
what is going on right now? It
Okay.
was wild. It was very impactful for me. And then season three has an event like that. There's just things that turn. And then as the seasons go on, they don't have those key turning point events.
Got it.
And then in the last season, they had too many loose ends that they tried to wrap up too quickly. And
Mm,
so but just for those seasons alone and those events alone, to see it, take it in, and be like, damn, it was worth the ride, my
gotcha. Well, you know what? I am arriving early at Malta,
man. Oh
so
shit.
you know we're gonna have some time to kill. So
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, I mean, it'd be, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to binge watch television when you're in a
well,
paradise like that, but
maybe I'll be at the hotel the night before watching it, and then out the window is gonna be the the
you're in the
place
castle.
where it all went down. Exactly.
Yeah, you're in the castle and you feel like you're defending the gates. Um,
Exactly.
it's wild. So we were also talking about how you linked up with Steve Denovi before how many months ago? 7, 9?
No, it would have been right after Nationals, so basically a year. Let's call it a year.
Okay, okay.
It was right after USAPL Nationals, which was June 8th of last year.
If we're looking at this, because I was looking at your numbers,
Yeah.
and the story of you is like the story of constantly chasing a fucking big ass number, a big total,
Yeah.
a big, coming into, and if we're honest, coming into PA Nats,
Uh-huh.
you had 613.5 to hit. And it
Yeah.
was a contentious debate whether or not people thought you were going to hit this. If we look at,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Here's the thing. If we look at your previous, let's pull this up here. So previously you would hit 600, but your
Hmm.
body weight was 64.4, which
Yes.
is at that percentage wise for 59 kilos. That's a far ways away. That is like,
Correct.
that is percentage wise, that's way more. So
Yeah.
then looking at it, it was like, he has to hit 13 and a half kilos more at
Uh-huh.
a substantial body weight less. And then
Yes.
if we looked at some of your other previous competitions where you're closer, you're in the 60 kilo class, not 59, but 1 kilo off, you're at 587 and a half, 590, which is 23.5 kilos off. So then it's like walking into PA Nats,
Yeah.
it became, how the hell is he going to do this? You could see where like it wasn't necessarily written on the wall. Some people writing on the wall, I think they'll hit, but you were confident. You were super confident you were going to hit this. What was going on in training? We'd seen glimpses and I'd seen glimpses, but the progress was phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to the day where kind of all kind of came together where I knew that I have a shot or I have the ability to become a world champion. I just need the opportunity. And it was after the Arnold. So going into the Arnold, I had just done my first 59 kilo meet at Washington State's, and I think it was 5:45 total on the day. And I was just my cut didn't go as well. I had to do a lot of sauna. I was still at this point doing all of my own dieting. I had a coach still, but I was doing all of my own nutrition. And my mentality coming from wrestling I was all about, I can cut the weight, no big deal. I've done it before, plenty of times, right?
Mm.
So going into states, cut didn't go the best. I did what I did on the day. It is what it is. So then I went back on prep shortly after, knowing that the Arnold was going to be in March. This was in October of the previous year. So I went on prep shortly after. I didn't gain a bunch of weight back, and I just cruised at a lower body weight. And I knew, and I just had to find that fine line where I wasn't suffering, because I am a bigger 59 at the end of the day. So I had to find that fine line where I was still enjoying my life essentially, but not getting too heavy. So I did, and training was going well. Numbers started picking up, and it was just me still taking advantage of the newbie gains, because at that point I was still only about a year and 3 months going into the Arnold, into the sport, and training was going well. Training was going well, and that's right around when the whole split happened with the IPF and USAPL. So then got an extra kilo of body weight to work with. So I was like, yes, let's go.
That's a
Right.
big kilo.
And then, you say it all the time, but as a 59, every kilo counts.
Mm.
Every kilo counts, because 1 kilo as a 59, it's almost 1% of the body weight. Right. So I was like, all right, I got an extra kilo to work with. Perfect. Now I'm really cruising, because I think going into the Arnold when I was like 2 months out or so, I was probably 62 and a half kilos. So I was like, oh, I'm big chilling. This is a lot, way less than anything I've done in the past. So sure as heck, we go to the Arnold. I do 590. Perfect. I knew that I had more in the tank, because I missed my third deadlift on grip. So I was like, you know what? I left some out there, and that meet actually, had I hit my third deadlift, I would have done 600 kilos. So I knew that I left 600 kilos on the table on that day, which would have been at that point 55 kilo PR, right? It's like, okay, that was there. Now let's go back to the drawing board. So then we're prepping for nationals. Few things went wrong with injuries. I used to be a hook gripper, and I got a thumb injury that kept me from pulling anything above 500 pounds without straps. I could barely hold on to it because the pain that I was having on my thumb. So I knew that going into nationals, which this was around the same time that you and I were talking in the DMs, and you were like, "Hey man, Fedoshenko's not gonna be there."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right.
You know what I mean? And then, at the time I was so new to the sport that I didn't, now watching Sheffield, right? I'm like, dude, what this guy's talking about Sheffield. Like, it didn't process to me how big this meet was.
You didn't know yet.
I was like, in my head, I set out that I'm going to become, the number one US lifter on the day at USAPL Nationals. And that was that. So I set out to do that. I came into that meet probably 85-90% of what I was capable of. So I took a little dip, took what was there on the day, just enough to win. And then when I knew that after nationals, my coach at the time, he was going to start his full-time job as a police officer. And I've always had Steve DeNovi in mind as somebody who I would want to be coached by, and it was him or nobody else. And sure as heck, I messaged him, and he was like, "Hey, well, after nationals, I'm going to open up a few spots, fill out the application, and we'll go from there." And then he takes me on, and that's where everything kind of started. And I put my trust. This is where, because when me and him met, I told him what I wanted. I was like, "Hey, Steve, I want to go to PNATs. I want to go to the IPF. I want to become a world champion." And he was like, "All right, this is what we have to do." I'm like, "All right, just put it on paper, and then I'm gonna get it done." And that's where I feel like after nationals is where I truly embrace the, like, just get it done and go on to the next. And that's where I feel like that switch flipped, and the mentality followed what I physically am capable of doing. Because I knew I was always physically able to do something great, but I just had to allow my mind to follow suit, to then allow my body to work as one. And that was after national. So training, like, off the bat, different programming, different approach. He switched as soon as I hopped with him, he switched a few things with my technique. and then we just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and started rinsing and repeating. And then all of the PA national qualifying world championship stuff came out, and I was like, even like I mean, just like you said, it was a big ask. My
Oh
best.
yeah. Yeah, dude, listen, we'll hop back into the story. I just want to say for anyone listening, like, I mean, when you would ask experts, like, I mean, people who've been in the game, a lot of people, like, I don't know. Like, it was a big ask.
Yeah. Yeah. So then that came out, and I remember that. I think I was at work when that post came out. And when I seen it, and I honestly thought it was a typo. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you're like, you're fucking kidding me.
Bro.
You're like, well, this is you're like
I was like, because
what?
when you look at it, you're like, yo, they want me to be, top 3 or top 5 in the history of the weight class for me to make the world team. And then I remember messaging Steve, was like, bro, you think this is real? And then it's funny enough, I messaged PA and I was like, how are you guys getting this total? I was so baffled by it, because in the previous year it's always been like more like a Carpino 4 or 5, where it's like 550, 560. And that, mentally, I was like, all right, we'll just go in, hit a easy SBD day, go back. When Steve and I when our game plan came about, we were like, all right, we'll just go into P and Nats, do a SBD, keep cruising. We were gonna treat it as a training day, right? And cruise into worlds to leave it all at the world championships. And then these total come out, and then Steve was like, I remember he sent me a voice message like, all right, let's do it.
It's like, well, we're gonna test it out now.
Yeah.
It's for anyone listening, just so they know, the Carpino is essentially what the US and around the world, some other nations, you take the winning total from the last 3 IPF worlds, and the average for them will be the Carpino one. That's very high expectations, but it's Team USA. So here's Team USA is always going to be killers, right through killers. So their expectation is, other nations might do, Carpino 2, 3, where it's going further down the rung, but US's expectations, we win. We're coming to win the weight class anyways. If you can't win the weight class, we'll double up in another weight class where we have 2 killers that both could win that weight class. Like it's very high expectation. So when they take a look at the 59s, Fedoshenko, the freak that he is, like, just took set some freaking totals that are stupid, stupid. So, I mean, 670, it's ridiculous. However, thank God, the other year in South Africa, when Antoine Garcia from France, which is another powerlifting nation, obviously France is on the major come up, the total lowered. Now he's still a phenomenal lifter, but thank God too, they went to they went to South Africa, so a lot of totals came down for a lot of people in South Africa. So that actually helped out. That actually helped the Carpino, not just yourself, but a lot of the Carpinos came down because South Africa took a hit on people's totals. So then, all right, that kept you in the game.
For real.
God, man, you're gonna have to battle Antoine Garcia, but at the same time, you probably owe him a beer.
Hey, just like that. Hey, my man.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, my man, take it easy. All right.
For real. So then, and then the backstory to that meet where I had to do a meet for PA Nationals before Nationals, it was just one of those things where it was not necessarily right after Nationals, but right after Nationals, I wasn't watching what I eat, and I think I got up to 152, or what is that, 69 kilos?
Ooh, damn, 10 kilos off. Holy dude, that's 22 pounds. My God, Wascar.
I put down food, dude, and I can't help it.
You living the good life. Oh, damn. You're like Buster Douglas after he beat Mike Tyson. He ate himself into a diabetic coma, by the way. Dude, this is crazy.
Wow. Dude, I just can't stay away from Crumble, bro. Crumble's the
God bless. Hey, I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that.
then I go back. I knew what I have to do, and that's one of those things where like I do it, but then I also give myself enough time to like, all right, here's the timeline. How much weight do I have to lose? Where do I have to be X amount of weeks out or whatever? So it's like, yes, I do that, but I understand I have a job at hand to take care of. So I started dieting, and that specific meet, since it was in Lake Tahoe in California, it was just I just treated it as a vacation day with my wife and son. And so I was out there. I was still eating my meal preps and everything. But like I wasn't really too worried about it because I knew as long as I weighed in under 66, then or yes, under 66, I was gonna be fine. So um I weighed in, and it was just a training day. It was just a regular SBD day. We planned to do 600 kilos with the top end attempts, and then but I still had my back downs in the back to do. So it was just like go boom boom, and then we were training again a few days later. But that's the backstory to that meet, is that I just did it to get the qualifying meet for PA Nationals, and it was just a regular old training day, like when people say my weekly total or SBD total, it was just one of those days that I just did 600 on the day and went on about the day.
So, quick question there.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory so that you were allowed to, as long as you hit a national qualifying total, it didn't matter if it's 66, 74, you're a nationally qualified lifter. So
No,
you could
it
go
was
to whatever
actually
weight class.
yeah, it,
Okay.
it could have been in whatever weight class as long as you had a meet under PA
Oh,
National.
okay, got you.
So the total actually didn't even matter. I could have went on there and lifted 55 kilos on each lift and went home.
Got you, got you. But you might,
It
yeah,
was,
exactly.
yeah. So the way it lined up, I believe it ended up being like week 3 of my training block, and then we just went there. It was like a time for my wife and I actually took a road trip. We road trip from Washington down there, and training day, and then came back home, and then it was that. Um,
And
but
how big was it to hit the 600 kilos, even though you've always been fairly close,
yeah,
just
yeah,
mentally to be like, all right, we're here.
yeah.
We're into the 600s. It's a little easy to wrap around your head.
Correct. And I think, and again too, I think because and to be honest, that 600 was harder than it should have been. Just for the simple fact, like squats, I had to go deeper than I normally would have wanted. The judges were just wanted deeper squats on the day. It is what it is. We adjusted it and hit it. Um, bench was just we weren't really pushing bench singles that block. So we just took the 303, I believe that was there. And then deadlift was just deadlift. We just put, I think it was 534 on the day or something like that. But before that meet, we knew that 613 was possible. It was just the way the training lined up, 600 was all we wanted to do on the day. But after the post was made and Steve and I started talking about what we need to do, we knew that it was possible. It wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to be a walk in the park like, you know, like any of the other Carpinos that needed to be hit, right? We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but we knew it was possible. And that's really all I needed. I needed Steve to believe in me as a coach, myself to believe that it was possible, and then those two came together, and then we put it together. But we knew it was always possible to do it. We just needed to execute on the day.
So when you rolled into PA Nats, how did it feel? Did it feel the same? Did it feel different? Did it feel like there are eyeballs on you with the weight of what you're
Yeah,
trying to achieve, making it onto a national team, knowing Sheffield's gonna there's a lot of people at Sheffield ready to take spots as well and maybe
yeah,
double up in certain weight classes if you don't
yeah,
hit, and they're all watching and they're not
yes,
necessarily cheering for you, and it's nothing to do with you. It's all to
for
do with
sure.
them.
For sure. It was actually that was part of the driving factor. Not to, I get it. It's part of the game, but there were a lot of people counting on other weight classes to miss. And underlining, without saying it, I knew a lot of people, not a lot, but some people were counting on the 59 not to hit because it was a big ask. So when I was walking into PA Nats, like I knew some dreams were going to be crushed. And it was just simple as that. Because especially I believe it was the last two blocks of training, like I knew that as long as I execute on the day, I knew I was either going to walk in with the bare minimum of the 613 and a half. As long as I executed, 613 was the bare minimum, and that's why I had more on the deadlift that I unfortunately failed. But yeah, 613 was the bare minimum, and then I knew that some dreams were going to be crushed on that day.
Well, you and Brian Lee, he's a teammate. He's with Steve as well, right?
No, he's actually self-coached, crazy enough.
Is he really?
Yeah.
What? Holy smokes,
Yeah.
man.
He's built slightly different, man.
Dude, he's built different. He's also another guy. Like some of these Carpinos, they leave no room to spare. Like you just you can't miss.
Yeah.
He had to get into the 700s for 66. I mean, he's capable, but we're talking 710 was the world record. I mean, we're getting close, man. There's just, you can't have a bad day. You can't even have a so-so day. You got to have a good day.
It has to come. It's like it's one of those things where it's like as powerlifters, we get the one day, and this one day needed to come together. Like me and Brian, we needed that day.
At least you got what you needed, and you felt the pressure at least to hit these numbers.
Correct.
And the pressure and being able to perform under pressure means a lot. And it's a big stage. Everybody's watching, and everybody's watching.
Yes.
After you hit, so you make it on the national team, and now you're looking ahead at the World Championships. Uh-huh. And obviously Sheffield's already happened, and everybody's seen Sheffield. I don't think I got to ask you if you've seen Sheffield. Yeah. But, tell me about that. I missed it. What was this? But it'd be almost as surprising because you didn't see Game of Thrones either. So I'm like, my man, where you been, man? It's the Game of Thrones of powerlifting, essentially. But so when you're at the World Championships, all of the qualifications, I'm not sure if they fully announced yet, but at the very least for last year, we know winning the World Championships in 95% of the world record is how you guarantee yourself a trip to Sheffield. After that, it's going to come down to wild cards. Now, this year, we had, like the year that the Sheffield that just passed, we had an abnormal amount of wild cards. I think there'll probably be less wild cards this World Championships. I think a lot of people, for instance, like Leah Bavois missed her 63 kilo weigh-in. Meg won the World Championships, missed the 95%. So this goes to wild cards. Leah ends up going in with a wild card, but I think, there's like Jesus Oliveras missing the total as well. Total shocker. Has to get in through wild card. Like a lot of people ended up through wild cards. I think this World's in Malta. I foresee mostly it just getting filled up with people hitting and far less wild cards available. So having said that, the total that is 95% for yourself of the world record, do you know what that total is?
Yep.
I do. I freaking do. Oh, you do. I knew you would. So for everyone listening, what is that total?
636.
That's right. Right on the money. And I'm in group chats talking about it. And we haven't done the preview show yet. But you already know what everyone else is telling themselves when they see 636. It's probably the same things you've heard with the 613.5 you were supposed to say for the Carpino. Almost like here we go again.
Yep.
Very, very similar, only the game is stepping up and up and up and up as it should. It's the world's now. What are your thoughts about 636? Is it possible? Can you pull this off? Because that's now 23 kilos more, and that's a big ask.
Do I believe that I can pull it off? Yes. Now I am also realistic in the fact that this is my first world championship. I've seen too many of the people very confident going into worlds and what they're going to do and what the plan is. And then you travel, like my travel time is 22 hours to get there. I have that in mind. And that's a big reason why I'm arriving early. I'm arriving 5 days early before I compete, just to give myself enough time. I've given myself the best shot, essentially, to acclimate. But it's 22 hours travel time, but only 8 hours difference. So not the biggest deal when it comes to adjusting to time zone. But you know, I'm being realistic with myself, and I don't want to overextend myself going for the 613. But based on how training is going and what the numbers I've hit under certain circumstances with programming, I do believe that it's there. I do believe that it's possible.
Because you have, if we pull this up here, I'm going to pull up the nominations here.
Yeah.
So obviously there's yourself, Franklin Leon, who's a wily veteran from Ecuador, but he's, I believe, more in a downslide. I mean, he's going to be 40 years old this year if he's not already 40 now.
And I mean, I don't know if he's going to show up too, because last year he was nominated and didn't show up. So
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know. We got Chinese Taipei coming in with a 585, as well as Antoine Garcia from France coming in with 585. And it's full well conceivable, because the 585 is old, they might be floating around 600. That's it's conceivable. It's not from France to Malta is from Chinese Taipei to Malta. It's going to be a hell of a trip. France to Malta is very favorable. I mean, Malta, for anyone listening, is just south of Italy. So it's right there by, for France. I don't know what the kind of travel is, but it's very friendly.
Right.
You could foresee Antoine Garcia going around 600-ish, whatever. So to your point, if anyone's floating around 600 kilos, they're a threat. But if you're on your A game, you should have a spread. But you also, to your point, it's not the kind of spread where it's like, I show up, I could start missing lifts, I could start whatever and still win. So you got to, I know what you mean, where you're like, I need to, it's far and away become a world champion and secure the bag. And you're a world champion for the rest of your life. You're going to be telling your kid when they're old, like, yeah, your dad was a world champion, blah, blah, blah. Like, have all these stories. But on the same token, Sheffield. My God, man, Sheffield. Dog.
That's after watching this year's first, it is like there's no other pinnacle than being on that stage. Like that, it was insane to watch. That was just insane to watch. And God, man, I want that. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
here's something. Okay.
Yeah.
And not to put too much pressure on you, whatever, but you got like you're a young guy, you got a lot you can achieve in your career. But historically speaking, do you watch boxing and MMA, by the way?
I watch a lot of MMA, not too much boxing.
Okay, so I'm going to use some references here. Everyone listening to the podcast knows I use reference points with MMA often, but it just helps me. This is my sport. But for reference points, so the smaller weight classes in powerlifting, historically speaking, never got the love that they should have. Yash, who's a 59, did a video saying, look at what the smaller weight classes in powerlifting are doing right now. He was talking about the 66s being 3 nominated people are 710 and up. The world record is 710. And then you have Pana, who's a former world champ. He's hit 700. Throw him in the mix. So that's 4. And they're a global presence. They're legitimately spread all over the world, from US to Europe to Asia. And that's beautiful for the sport. Because like when you have a global presence like that, as opposed to just like one nation has like a bunch of people, it doesn't quite ring the same, not the quite global spread. And you have guys like Pana, who has star power reach, like he drops a video and boom goes the diet, like thousands of likes, like it's nuts.
It's insane. Yeah,
it's insane his reach, and that's good not just for him but all the other 66s. When he shows up to Worlds, it's important to have a guy like that. He brings eyeballs. Good. So everybody around there, if you get into, back and forth with them, and then it's a battle on the platform, everybody wins. These things are beautiful.
Correct.
And Yash was bringing attention to that, saying like, look what's going on in powerlifting. And then he brought up you as well. And he brought up your lifts as well, what you're doing in the 59s. And it's exciting because previously we had Fedoshenko. For anyone listening, it's been a hot minute. He's from Russia. I mean, if you look at the 59s, historically speaking, I think 4 of the 10 are from Russia. Like Russia had a lot of 59s, but Russia's gone. And he's not coming on podcasts. He's not dropping quotes. He's barely posting anyways, even when he was around, let alone now that he's gone. I mean, he's gone. We'll see what happens when he comes back. He's also an older athlete. We don't know if he's ever going to come back to his former self. But what you're doing, coming from the US, you're on social media, you're doing podcasts. If I could relate this to MMA, there was a time when for a while there, Mighty Mouse was the flyweight champion of the UFC, and they couldn't get him to sell for anything.
Yes.
So much, they couldn't get him to sell a pay-per-view for his life. And he was possibly the best in the world, and they couldn't do it. Dana White's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. It came to the point where he is the reigning 125-pound champion. And 59 kilos is like that's the equivalent. This is the Mighty Mouse, all right? And they couldn't sell him. It got to the point where Dana White traded away their world champion, flyweight, traded him to another organization while he's still the champion. Said, take him. Let me take one of your contenders from 170, which became Ben Askren. He wasn't even a champion. He's
that was the worst trade ever.
Well, it is what it is. Yeah, we could get into that, right? But they for Ben Askren, and then after that though. So everyone's like, you can't sell flyweights. You can't sell flyweights. Right. Enter Henry Cejudo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now this American guy, Olympic gold medalist, he's got a different bite to him. And he's talking, he's doing social media. And Henry Cejudo was an entirely different animal. All of a sudden, people got excited because he beat Mighty Mouse. He beat Mighty Mouse outright, actually. So
correct. He beat Mighty Mouse right before he got traded out.
Right before he got traded out. So I said there were talks of the trade when Mighty Mouse was champ. He loses, they trade. Okay. And then under Cejudo, now Cejudo's actually doing pay-per-views. Mighty Mouse couldn't hold headline pay-per-views, and Cejudo changes the game. So looking at the lighter weight classes, what it means to have a guy like you coming on podcasts, posting, because you have a different look to you altogether. Mm-hmm. When you post on social media, you have a different vibe to you altogether. The previous, again, champion Fedoshenko never did any of these kind of things. And what it would mean if you represented the 59s at Sheffield on the world's biggest stage. It's not even just representing US, representing yourself, but almost when Cejudo said this division was on life support. Right. And I breathed new life into it. Yeah. I breathed new meaning into it. And now the division is what it is, right? With Moreno and Figueiredo and whatever. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. They're talking about closing the whole division. The UFC was going to close off the flyweights because nobody cared. Yep. And you just needed the right guys to make it care again. And it would mean, I want to talk a bit about this, being on the smaller end for athletes and what it means. And when you're looking to people that you look up to, and when you look at other sports, and then what it could mean for yourself, knowing like, if not this year, next year, if I get to Sheffield, if I do certain things, I could be that flag for everyone else and be like, no, we can be charismatic. We can have fans. You've seen in the 66s. Don't tell me Pana can do it 66.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on all this?
That is a great point to bring up because, I've been in the sport for a short time, I guess you can say 2.5 years. But as far as I know, correct me on this, there wasn't really a lot of hype the way it is now until Pana joined the scene. Is that fair to say?
100%.
66? Okay.
Yeah.
And when Sheffield was going on, I was actually working out and I was talking to Alexander Nathan, the American Nathan.
Yeah.
So with him, and then I was like, man, it's like nobody would like currently right now, because and the only reason I'm able to say this is because Fedoshenko, even if he was to come back and he hits a big total, qualifies for Sheffield, he can't do it because of his failed drug test in the past. That's one of the criterias. So currently, as the playing field sits, nobody's came close to that total besides one other Russian that hit 613. You have Charlie Yang, who's now at 66, who hit 636, and then there's me followed. So nobody would ever expect at this time for a 59 to ever be to take one of those spots, let alone earn a wild card, right? Because since it's all about records, the 59 records are all over the place because squat is held by probably a shorter individual who had crazy monster squat. Bench is held by Fedoshenko. Deadlift is held by a puller, deadlift specialist out of Canada, and then there's the total. So the odds of a 59 currently joining or being part of the second, third, nobody's looking that far out or even expecting it. Everybody's looking at the other big names. So it is one of those things that like I really do feel like I can be that guy that can, again, I don't know, put a and I don't say this with intent of like taking somebody else's dream away or whatever, but it's like I have my own dreams and aspirations in the sport, and like I truly believe that I can be that person for the class, and I I just do, man. You know what I mean? I have this belief in myself that since I started doing all this research early on, because again, I'm all in kind of mentality. Like if I'm gonna do this, like I'm for real gonna do this. And a lot of it stems from now being a father and those 2.5, 3 hour sessions that I'm at the gym. If I'm gonna go to Worlds and fail, I might as well stay home with my son
Mm.
and forget those sessions. You know what I mean? So being that I've done what I've done in the time that I've been in the sport and the time that I potentially have, I'm only 25. Uh, I do believe that I can be that guy to hit that 613 and I mean no, sorry, 636 and go beyond that. Because I
It
mean
is.
it's so I'm gonna say this one last thing because
Yeah, no, keep
it's
going.
not far. It's not far from where I already am. It's not far because I mean, in order for me to add the 23 kilos, I would have just had to hit that third deadlift, not come in with a shoulder injury and be able to push bench and squat the 5 kilos that I had on squat at PA Nationals. Like it's not a yes on paper is 23 kilos. People look at that number and I get it. 23 keys is a lot for a 59. But to me, I look at it, it's like, nah. It's like all I had to do was execute here, come in on the day healthy here, and just push myself a little more here. And that's the way I think about it. And I just simplify it in my head so that it doesn't become this huge deal. Oh, it's 23 kilos. Instead,
Mm.
it's just a little here, and a little here, and that's it. Put it together, man.
You anytime you're faced with a crazy task, you get breaking it down makes it way easier. Like
Yeah,
how do I get there? And then you break it down a little bit and you're like, all right, well, this isn't that crazy.
exactly.
There's room.
Exactly. There's room and there was room. And that's and like me, there's what's that thing where they say, delusion is believing in something. What's that saying? What's the definition of being delusional? It's like when you believe in something and it's like it's
And it's
not
not true.
happening. Yeah, and it's not true or something like that, but you just don't let it go or whatever. Like it's not what I'm saying, it's not something that it's crazy because I've never done it. It's not crazy because it's a big ask. It's more of like, no, it's like he's right. If he would have hit that third deadlift, he would have actually been at 623
Uh,
kilos. Now he's only looking at 13 kilos.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
now when I look at that number, 13 kilos, oh, that ain't nothing to, if I can put 23 kilos on my total when nobody else thought it was possible, besides me, my coach, and the people that know me, then what's 13 kilos, you know? And that's literally the way I'm looking at it going into Worlds. It's like, yeah, I have the travel time, so I'm being very respectful of that variable. I'm not taking it lightly at all, but I truly understand and believe that if I'm there and the opportunity, if my body allows me to, you best believe and put all your chips on the fact that if it comes down to that third pool and it equaling 636, it's gonna get loaded.
Here's the thing. I guarantee you, all the other 59s, whether it be the defending champ Garcia from France or any of them, if you hit 636 and you win it, at the very least, you know they're gonna be like, well, one of us got through.
Exactly.
One of us is gonna be on that stage. And you be I can't speak for them, but I'd be guessing they're watching, like, put on a show, young man.
Yes.
You know, like, you fly our flag and let them know. Let's bring some eyeballs to our weight class. And here's the thing with, you know, we're already doing phone calls like with SBD. Like, I worked the Sheffield event, for like the original Sheffield event 2020, and then the one that just passed. But we're already doing phone calls talking about ideas in the promotional. What's going to happen, and I can't get into details, obviously, but the amount in terms of budget, in terms of teams, in terms of everything for the hype leading into this one is, I mean, it's not even close. The first one was a tester, and everyone thought it was amazing. It was a tester. This next one, the budgetary plans that people are gonna see unroll for the second one is going to be like crazy, because now they know. And then the actual event itself is going to be like a whole nother level as well. But what I'm saying is, if you, for the 59s to have somebody like you, I'm telling you, the opportunities that arise when they start sending crews to follow you, get your story and whatever, and some of the other things that I can't talk about that they have planned for projects that are going to happen, and they're dropping coin, my friend. They're dropping some serious coin on. Everyone in the sport's going to know whoever makes it to this Sheffield. Everyone in the sport's going to see you, see your story. They're all going to, like, it's going to be lovely. You're going to be on so many different content, digital assets, that it's crazy. And what it'll do, not just for yourself, but what it'll do for your class, your weight class. Yeah, it could be the Cejudo effect, where you're like, but why not me?
Why not?
But why can't I do what Pana did?
Yeah.
And why can't people follow behind me all of a sudden? Like, look at Pana now. It's like, Jesus. You know, he looks at the nominations. He's like, damn, our class blew up. But you know, but it can happen. There was never rivalries in the 66 where people are like, oh my God, I can't wait to see. Now there is. Now there's, and people bigger very rarely look down on the people smaller and watch historically. Like 3-4 years ago, nobody would. 3-4 years ago, nobody would. Now, you're kidding me? People aren't going to watch the 74s and 66s? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Of course they will. So yeah, you have opportunities to. And again, if not, even if this year, even if you don't get 636, even if this year you win the Worlds, and obviously podcasts, preview shows, and the whole nine, it's lovely, and it's going to be a great experience. And if it's Eurosport's going to show not every weight class, but every weight class highlights and the champions, and so millions of people will see it. There'll be millions of people who are like smaller athletes like yourself watching, and they will see, and they're like, what sports can I play? And then they'll see you. And the beautiful thing, again, with Penn in the 66s, when you get a guy who stands out and he's got some charisma on that platform, a smaller guy see that. Eurosport's one of those nets, and social media are those nets that you cast the net and other people are going to see it and be like, I got my sport. Yeah. Now I'm coming. I didn't even think of that. That's beautiful. I want to be that. See what Wascar's doing? His arms out, being like, and he's in all the pictures posing, and now he's doing podcasts and interviews, and you make it a Sheffield. And if they see those stories and everything, they're like, a bunch of people are going to be like, I want what he has. Now you're going to have rivals, and it's going to get tough, but it's a beautiful, man, sports is a beautiful thing. And this is where, not for nothing, man, but even back in the day when I first reached out to you, seen a little something about the way you carry yourself was different than we'd seen in the 59s previous. Yeah. Capability wise, as well as how you handle yourself. And I was like, I don't know.
I tried, because when I started the whole journey, when I going into my very first meet, which even then my wife wasn't able to attend. She was pregnant with our son. And I think it started early on, from where I was like, I can't fail at this, not because I don't like failing, not because I'm gonna get looked at as you failed or you didn't come in first. But it was just simply one of those things where I spent so much time away from the family doing this hobby essentially. And it's like it's that mentality that like whenever I listen to Pana's podcast, it really hits home for me because the way he's so passionate about just I'm winning this or I can't fail. There's second is not an option. If it ain't first, it's like he doesn't see it any other way. And I'm very similar to that in that aspect because it comes down to if I'm not gonna be first or if I'm not gonna do something that's changing, right? If it's different than what this weight class is used to seeing, why am I spending all this time here when I could just be watching my son grow,
Mm.
you know? And that's that and that's where after nationals I had that shift in mentality where it's like, we're getting ready to embark on this journey that many dream. Like the sport is small for what it is or niche, but many powerlifters dream of being able to be on that stage where I'm getting ready to step on here in the short 4 weeks. And I don't take it lightly. I have earned my spot by hitting the Carpino, but it's just like I'm going into it with that mentality that it's like there's no other option but to win. And
And,
not only win, but of course attempt to do something that many don't think that can be done.
and that's what makes your story and everything around your story exceptional. Is it wasn't just like show up, take the title, and then you're there, and show up at Worlds, and there's always like caveats to it. There's
Mm-hmm.
always like a bigger picture, and it's better. It was better that the Carpino was ridiculous. Now,
Yeah, for
look
sure.
at that. Like it was kind of dicey leading in. Was like holy shit,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
afterwards you're like good. Good.
good,
Now
exactly.
what can people say? I had a very stiff ask on me,
Yeah,
you know.
and also too, it just because I feel like it's one of those things like the 3 minute mile, right? Everybody thought it was impossible until the one person did it, and now it's the standard, right? Or the 4 minute mile, sorry. 4 minute or 3 minute. I think it was 4 minute.
Um shit. I think it might be 3 minute.
Is it 3 minutes? Let's go with that.
Let's go
Uh,
with that, man.
but everybody thought it was impossible until the one gentleman did it, and now it's the standard to go to the NCAA track and field, championships or whatever. And Fedoshenko was this individual that was doing he was leagues above everybody else in the past, and it showed, right? And but to me, the way I looked at him as an individual early on in my career, it's like how, like, again, to go to the MMA reference, we all bleed, we all breathe. Like, why can he do it, and what's keeping me from doing it? If I do what I'm supposed to do in the gym, outside of the gym, what I'm fueling my body with. If I'm checking all these boxes, why not me? And that's why there's like one of those things I put. I will always put it on my little Instagram caption. It's like, why not me? It's simple. It's simply because of that. It's like if somebody else has already done it, or if it's something that hasn't been done before, why not me? What's keeping me from not being able to achieve it? Somebody telling me that I can't do it? Well, sit back and watch, you
It's
know?
to your point about the 3 or 4 minute mile, it for a long time was considered a barrier.
Yeah.
They referred to it as a barrier, as though you're not getting around it. And when
Mhm.
that individual hit it with it, like, and this, it went from barrier to him hitting it. And then, I mean, floodgates open almost immediately.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, to your point of wrapping your mind around it, then it started getting hit. And it wasn't like there was an influx of new athletes. It was athletes who just previously couldn't, now they can. It's
Right.
weird how it works. And
Yeah.
when we weightlift, we all have certain barriers, like the 500 pounds for whatever lift,
Mhm.
but once you break over, you're like, why was I stuck right below 500 for so long?
Right. Right.
It's weird how it works.
It
And
really is. it's all up here. This muscle upstairs, the mind, dude, it's so powerful. It is so powerful. And that's where I think that it has allowed me to do something that it's different, in the class. Everybody, like when listening to all the previews of PA Nats, like, oh man, 600, going above 600 kilos, right? You got to do something that's only been done. I think it was 6 times ever in the weight class. But it's just 600 kilos, man. Just cross it over and just because Fedoshenko's hit 670, right? So
Yeah.
like to me, simplify it. This man's gone 70 kilos above that 600 barrier. Just go over it, man. All you gotta do is, 613 and a half. Yeah.
When did that flip for you though? Like, when did it turn from you finding the sport and getting involved to I think I'm going to be a world champion?
After the Arnold.
And you that's when you believe like I think I could do this.
Correct. Yeah, after the Arnold, and it was just simply because when I hit that 590, under the circumstances of everything and me just doing my own nutrition, like now I leave that to somebody else. My coach at the time, he knew a thing or two about coaching, but now I got Steve Denovi. So after what I did at the Arnold, and I was like, when I really started reflecting on that 590, being in the sport at the time for a year and 3 months. So a year and 3 months into the sport, I was like, man, 590. And I believe the 590 ended up finishing as the number one total in the 60 and 59 during that year period. So I was like, if I can do that in a year and 3 months, and you're gonna give me another year and 3 months to add on to my total, like, yeah, I can do something special.
And when you so when you found powerlifting, how did you find powerlifting first off?
COVID closed down LA Fitness because I used to be just regular, working out, doing my own thing, squat, bench, and deadlift, and do a bunch of accessories and go eat junk food. That was the kind of programming I was on.
Hey,
Uh,
man,
yeah,
you live
and then
worse, living your best life.
for real. And then so LA Fitness closed down during COVID. Ended up going to the gym that I train at now, aside from my facility, Spanaway Fitness. And then I was there. I think I was doing 315 for six. It was like a PR attempt, 315 at the time for six. And the guy that ended up coaching me, his name is KK. I call him KK. His name is McKay. He walked up to me. He goes, "Hey man, you ever thought about powerlifting?" And I looked at him, I was like, "Bro, power what? Like, what are you talking about?" And then he explained it to me. It's like, it's just, you prep, you weigh in, and you just do squat, bench, and deadlift 3 times, and you see, and then whoever gets the highest total win. And like right away, like because post high school, like I didn't have nothing that gave me that competitive edge, like wrestling. And I did wrestling, track and field, and cross country. So I did sports year round. But after high school, it's just like I didn't really have nothing that lit that competitive fire in me. But he told me that, and I was like, huh. I'd set on it, and then I came home to my wife, and I said, "Hey, honey, this dude at the gym told me about this thing called powerlifting." And then sure as heck, what are you talking about? I explained how to explain it to her, and then she was like, "Oh, then, that's cool," because at the time I was a little bit heavier. So I was like, it could be a good way for me to stay
How,
consistent.
how heavy were you again? Because you told me in the DMs. I mean to fat shame you, my man, but I got
78 kilos.
damn.
Yeah. So me being 5'2", the every kilo mattered.
Oh damn, man. At five
Yeah.
two, yeah, that's you were thick.
Yeah.
You were
So,
thick.
it was a quick way. It was a good sell, right? Because my wife, like I said, my wife was pregnant. She would have been pregnant, I think, for 3 months. So it was early on in the pregnancy, but I was like, it was a good sell, I guess you can call it. 'Cause I was like, it'll keep me accountable. This is my plan. I'm gonna compete. Like right away, I was in my head because of the whole wrestling mentality. I'm going from 78 to 59 kilos.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, wrestlers are known for that, right?
Yeah, because I wrestled at 106 in high school. So I knew that, all right, in my mind, I've done it before. I was there at one point in my life. I just gotta, backtrack a little bit. So like, yeah, my plan is to do this, do this, and it was like, all right. And she was like, all right, it'll be a nice hobby for you. And sure as heck, and turns into what it is today.
I mean, holy smokes. So when you first got into this,
Hmm.
and you initially right off the bat were thinking, I'm going 59 kilos. First off,
Hmm.
you were gonna drop damn near 20 kilos of body weight, which is
Correct.
insane. So how did you drop 20 kilos in body weight essentially?
So, I went to the old ways of wrestling ways of losing weight, a lot of crash dieting or just going into deep caloric deficits. And I ended up actually having to settle my very first meet ever I did as a 66. But still, uh 12 hours prior, me and my coach at the time, KK, he cut 11 pounds on the day, and then I did 9 pounds on the day to make weight, you know? So, because,
Damn, at that
yeah,
body weight,
yeah.
that's a big one, man.
Yeah.
That'll
So
test
then,
you.
but it was one of those things where I went so aggressive on the cut so fast that I was losing like 3 pounds a week, sometimes four. That training obviously just tanked.
Mm.
So he was like, you know what, let's just do your first meet at 66. That way your body can just take steps and let your body acclimate here. Cool. Then we can go to the next one. Excuse me. So we did the first meet at 66. I was like, all right, I did that. And then I was like, man, I just gotta be better on my nutrition. Just simple as that. I just gotta be better. So then started taking my nutrition more serious. And then I ended up making the successful cut down to 59 for the Washington State Championships. But it took a while. 10 months total.
Mm.
Excuse me. You mind if I get some water real quick?
Yeah, no, go ahead, man. I'll do a quick pause. Okay, so
So,
you
so, so yeah,
go ahead,
10
go ahead.
months. Yeah. So 10 months it took me to, you know, I guess you can call it lose the weight healthy.
But that seems that's even aggressive though, considering 19 kilos at that body weight is freaking massive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't imagine you must have felt like this is like you must have been slashing calories, doing like road work. It must have been crazy grind, and it had to have taken a toll on you.
I mean, after I did the meet at 66, it surprisingly got easier. But funny enough, just because I ended up just taking just a different approach and just actually eating clean. Um, and my body just liked the way I started treating it. Because
Mm.
before that, it was just junk food all day. Junk food, just not watching the calories that I was eating, what I was eating. So when I flipped that switch on, all right, now we're eating ground turkey. Like, funny enough, my wife and I were just talking about this last night. I've been eating ground turkey for the past like year and a half. I haven't ate uh, outside of, like, let's say I compete and I have a few weeks off of dieting, ground turkey and rice.
Dude, it tastes good. It tastes good.
Hey,
I
if you
don't
make
care.
it right,
It's
if you make
yeah,
it right, you know what I'm saying?
that's right. Yeah, if you prep it, I'll eat. I can
Yeah,
certain things I could eat every day as well.
yeah.
I mean, it is
So
what it
so
is.
yeah, it got easier, and I had a 5 month period between my first meet and then the next one at 59. And man, and then it got to the point where it just the weight just started coming off healthy, and training didn't take it no longer a toll.
Mm. And when you first started doing this too, and you're doing the cut and you started competing, who was it that you like? Did you hop on social media, start checking out powerlifting? Obviously, you're saying you're checking out the 59s, but you're not going to find Fedoshenko posting much. And who was it that you started? Did you have people that you start following and you started getting inspired by?
A lot of it early on. Oh, my voice changed. um some of it early on was Russ. It's hard not to say his name, being I bought his merch all the time. And
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about a guy like Russ, man. His
yeah,
reach.
yeah,
People say what they will about how he carries himself, but his reach is undeniable.
for sure. And also too, it was easy to to relate yourself to him because he was, raw lifting, had the man, I'm sorry.
Don't
Had
worry about it.
had the the physique, the following, like he was the guy. And I came across him early on and I was like, man, like this dude is doing it. He's doing a lot of what other people dream to do. So I followed him a lot early on, and man, excuse me.
Don't worry.
And
Hopefully you're not getting sick.
no. It's literally just like a tickle on my throat that is not wanting to go
Is
away.
isn't that the most annoying when
Dude,
you keep drinking water like this freaking tickle? This tickle won't leave.
it's not going away. And then I started following. Then after like Russ, then I started looking at like, all right, now I want to feel some inspiration from people that have been there, done it. For example, in my weight class or so on and so forth. So then I started following Charlie Yang, before he moved up. I followed Charles Acapulco. I looked at I don't remember following a lot of international lifters at the time. It was mainly U.S. lifters. But I just had, a handful of people that like, man, they started from here. Like I really like the individuals that had a story. They weren't always at the top, started here, and then they're here today. Because again, it just makes it possible. It's not an abnormal ask for you to go from whether it was set my story 78 kilos down to 59 to then climb the ranks and now be nominated as the favorite to win it all. It was possible.
What does everybody around you think that, like, initially, obviously, I mean, this is only 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
You were 78 kilos, eating all these chocolate bars or whatever made you 78 kilos, living the best life, just going to the gym, doing your thing. And then 2.5 years later, you were as all in gets. I'm sure friends and family who had previously seen you on social media and now come to your social media now would be like, what is happening? Like, you're obviously, your videos, like your social media is wildly entertaining. Anybody listening, go check it out because it's not what you expect. You shift big weights for a 59 kilo man, for any man. You could show up at any gym and you're probably out squatting, benching, and deadlifting all the other like gym guys who were there, let alone when it would be a beautiful thing if a crew could take you, walk into some, bigger cities with some, just like global gyms.
Yeah.
Get people's expression when you start shifting weights and you start pulling into the 500s and you start,
Oh man.
like benching the threes or what, and just get people's impressions. We're like, what? You could wear some baggy clothes and make you look even smaller. Just do whatever. It'd be amazing. And what's your family and friends' impression where now your social media has become obviously heavily influenced by powerlifting? You're dropping these quotes, you're winning titles, you're now the #1 nomination globally for your weight class. If they seen Sheffield and it's like, I'm in contention to be there next year, they'd be like, what? This is the wildest. If they watched it with you and seen clips, or just knowing you'll be on like Eurosport, like you're going to the world title representing the US, and it's like, 19 people around the world are going to be in my weight class. 19 nations represented. This is a true international. This is no like, this is international. This is international. Not like, we got 3 guys from 3 nations. We're going to pretend it's a world title. No, this is for real. What is your friends and family thinking now, and your wife?
It's my wife for sure. She understands the magnitude of it. You mind pausing one more time so I can get before I answer? I really. So my wife, she understands everything that's going on because I've kind of told like, honey, like I'm doing this, like, and she's just like, holy heck, you're doing it. My parents, not so much. They're immigrant folks, older individuals who barely on social media to begin with. So them not really, but the people, the friends around me, the people that I now surround myself with, they definitely understand that, like, dang, he's really about to do this. He's really about to step on the world stage and do this after 2.5 years is crazy.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, first off, so you're originally from Dominican Republic.
Correct.
There, yeah. And your parents, you said they were older. Like, how old are your parents?
My mom, she's in her early 50s, and then my stepdad into his mid 50s.
Okay. So, and they, do they fully, like, have they seen powerlifting? Do they know much about the sport, or is it kind of like some parents where they're like, they think it's bodybuilding or something
To
like
be
that?
honest, my mom, they don't comprehend it. Like when I tell like, Mom, I squatted, 485 pounds. To her, it's more of, like the first thing that comes to mind to her is, well, make sure you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that comes
That's,
to her mind. And it doesn't they don't comprehend the magnitude of what that is, or what, let alone like anybody to squat that much weight, let alone somebody my size. So that when I say that they don't comprehend much of it, it's is that, like, to them, they can't put together the fact that an individual can physically lift this much weight. They
mm,
to them, they don't, because they've never been around sports. My parents have never done sports growing up. Um, they've always been to themselves, don't go out much. Like, for them to go out to dinner or something like that, it's once a year, something
oh,
like that.
okay.
So they don't
Wow.
get out much, you know what I mean? So for them, they don't they definitely don't understand this.
But they like, this is the beautiful thing about having like a world championships where it's just universal. You tell people, I'm going to the world championships.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to fly across the world. I'm on the national team. Like, people just are kind of like, okay, say less. They don't even got to know much about powerlifting.
Mhm.
What do your friends and family think about that much even?
They think it's crazy, dude. They think it's absolutely nuts because um I talked about it a lot, like, hey man, this is what I'm trying to do. And yeah, 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 it's awesome, man. Keep working hard. But now that it's here, it's just like it's wild. And they think the same. Like, they message me all the time, like, how are things going? When I see them in person, it's like, how's prep going? Oh, I went out to eat last week, but I didn't bring it up because I know you're prepping for Worlds and it's important. So like, oh yeah, they very respectful actually, because a lot of times I would find myself at the dinner table with family and friends. Everybody's eating, but hey, I got to stay within the macros. So they definitely very respectful of the fact that, besides my best friend, he be pushing buttons in me, bro. He be sending
There's
me.
always that one dude.
There's
It's
that one person.
like, dude, this isn't funny, man. Stop sending me pictures of pizza. Stop sending me. He's like, dude.
Man. But besides that, everybody's really understanding, and they have my back on the journey, And it's crazy. It really is. And I'm not saying that, like, I don't take it lightly. It is crazy, the fact that I'm getting the opportunity to compete at the World Championship after 2 years of being in the sport.
And you're the number one nomination.
Hmm.
Like to tell your friends and family, like it must be weird for them to know you this
Hmm.
long, your whole life, and then you're 2 years ago you find a sport. Hey, I
Yeah.
found a sport. I'm gonna think I'm gonna start powerlifting, and they're like, "Well, good luck. Well, you probably have some fun." 2 years later, you're like, by the way, I'm going to the world championships. I'm the number one nominated lifter. If I win and I hit a certain total, I might be going to Sheffield, which is the biggest, like, and
Yeah.
they'd be like, what is happening? This is happening too quick.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
you
And
know,
and I feel like that could be for any sport, not just powerlifting. Just the simple fact that you joined the sport, you said you were gonna do some things, but then it's there 2 years later, and it's like imagine somebody in the UFC, like, getting into mixed martial arts. I know there's a lot more that goes into that, but someone gets in and then 2 years later fighting for a world championship, you're like,
it's
I
a
mean,
lot. Yeah,
it'd
it's
be
a lot to
crazy.
take in for any. All of the
Yeah,
friends and family would be like, "Holy smokes! I knew you got into this, but I didn't
I
know
know.
you were gonna be like this far in."
Yeah.
What's your biggest motivation at this point?
Um, just my son. He's number one. My son. It's one. I made a promise to him. At the state championships when I very first time. I had won a gold medal in the class in the 59 kilo class, and I said, "There's gonna come a time." He was it was in October. He was 2 months old. August. Yeah, he was 2 months old. And I looked at him. He was sleeping in my arms. And I looked at him and said, "It's gonna be one day where this gold medal is gonna represent that dad won a world championship." And I've been kind of doing that since. It's something that I take a lot of honor in for him. It's like every single competition that I win, I bring him up with me to the podium, and I put the medal around him because of he's the reason. I There's many times where I'm getting under the bar or I'm getting ready for a big deadlift, and if it wasn't for knowing that there's gonna come a time, aka competition, where I'm gonna be stepping up to the bar or getting under the bar under a certain amount of weight, and he's gonna be looking at dad. And it's funny enough, now that he's getting ready to turn two, whenever he sees me, whether it's like a lifting video or something on TV that involves any lifting, he'll just be like, "Daddy, daddy." I swear, it is the coolest thing. So now, like, knowing that he understands that when he sees dad stepping up to the bar, getting ready to go to the bar, it's like, "Hey, dad is about to do this." It's like he's there, and then I'm here, but I really feel like it's both of us, like, under the bar or getting ready to pull the weight. And it's him, dude. It's crazy. It's a crazy feeling that I can't explain it besides just saying that it's not just me getting under the bar. So that's a big problem.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you got a little man helping you now.
Yeah.
Emotionally, he don't got a
Yeah.
lot of leg drive right now. His body fat's probably a little high, but he's there. He's morally there.
Yeah.
What's cool is, well, first off, when you made those promises when he's 2 months, you could
Mhm.
probably get away with him, later on, be like, I didn't say worlds, man. I said, you misheard me later on. But now
Oh
it's on
man,
the podcast. It's too late. Now we'd be like,
it's
this
too
digital
late.
is there forever.
Yeah.
But what's cool is obviously, yes, he's very young now. He's 2 years old. But
Hmm.
there's going to be a time when he's 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
He's a man. I mean, even when he's in high school,
Yeah.
he's going to look back. He can come back and, Gavin was on the podcast and he's like, it's crazy. We do these podcasts together. This is a digital footprint of who we are right now. It's a
Right.
representation of who you are right now. Your story, how you feel, everything, it's being told right now.
Yeah.
When I was talking to somebody about, I love reading autobiographies, and I was like, I've read Muhammad Ali's autobiography later on in life when he was an older man, and then I read his autobiography from 1975, and he wrote it when he was the champ in the moment, and it's
Yeah.
such a different read in the moment. And so when you catch an autobiography written by someone in the moment, now this era we have podcasts, so your
Hmm.
favorite heroes and whatnot, you listen to them in the moment, real time, how they're feeling. And it's, if you go back 10 years, you get it. You'll get like exactly the raw goods. And everything you're doing right now, your son is going to go back as a man like you are now, and look at you in your prime years before you win the world title and talking about your ambitions of, and then winning the world title, and watch you and then hear you recount right afterwards. If we do a follow-up podcast and I'm like, Wascar, and we walk through it, he'll hear you talking about walking through winning your world title. And
Ah,
he'll hear like all of this. He can listen to preview shows and be like,
yeah.
let me listen to the experts talk about if my dad can hit 613 and make it on the national team. Experts are divided. And your son's like, fuck, he hit it. And it makes it, he can hear anybody can go back. It's time stamped.
Hmm.
Let me go a step further. Your grandkids can
Yes.
go back and be like, grandpa, yeah, we'll go back, man. There's digital proof. You can see it. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to think about, like, your story. You're writing your story is what you
Yes. And to add on to that as well is like we said earlier, I'm from Dominican Republic, and like I going into PA Nationals, I found out that Dominican Republic also has a powerlifting federation.
They tried to poach you.
No, no, no.
You go, I found out because they approached me. They're like, what do we got to do? What do we got to do?
What do we got to do?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's also bigger than me, right? Because it's like, yes, right now I have this vision of that I set out to do for my son, but then at the same time, it's like there's this bigger there's like this also, how do I phrase it? Not It's not necessarily like I feel like I'm the chosen one from my country to do this, right? But it is also in a way being in this position to show the people back home that by any means, I mean the Dominican Republic, I spoke to the gal that runs their page. Um they don't send no athletes to worlds because nobody can afford it. It's too expensive. Um and it's one of those things where being able to not only have the opportunity to achieve this goal that I set out for myself, but then at the same time being the person that these other individuals can look at me and say, he's one of us, man. He really he went there and he was able to accomplish what many didn't think were possible. And my hopes with it all is to just simply inspire people to not set any limits, man. um it's it's just it's one of those things and it goes back to that there's no other option. There's just no other option but to win. There's variables that go with winning. There's just like the meaning of that of my second pool at nationals. I knew it was 613.5. I knew it was my ticket. I knew it was this, that, whatever. It's the same thing with this. It's like there's gonna be a point in that competition where if the cards are played correctly, that it's gonna be a done deal, and it's gonna be bigger than me. It's bigger than just winning worlds. It's bigger than just making Sheffield. It's all, to me, the way I look at it, it's a bigger picture of, like you mentioned, growing, bringing some attention to the weight class, showing other individuals that, hey man, if just don't limit yourself. It's very easy to see other people doing insane things and I don't that's crazy that he's doing that or that they're doing that. I don't think I can do it, but why not? It's like, why not? So that's the way I'm going into this world. It's like mentally, like it's bigger than just going to worlds and being able to lift at worlds. It's not only win, it's attempting to make Sheffield. It's attempting to set an example that, man, it's possible.
I mean, in the UFC, it was unfathomable that a 145 pounder would be by far the biggest star in the sport until Conor McGregor comes around and wins the featherweight title. And it was like, if you seriously, now it's like everyone's, yeah, of course. I mean, if you remember the UFC before Conor McGregor, people would laugh and your 145-pound man would be the biggest star, bigger than the heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
It would be laughable. It would be like impossible.
Yeah.
Now he's so much bigger, it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close. And he was the featherweight champion was the biggest, most popular. And he would go on a global tour. Yes, it can happen. It's the same thing in our sport where for a little while there, it was like you'll never sell the 66s. That won't be. And now it's like, yeah, you can. It's probably one of the hottest divisions. It's that big. It just takes some time. And also for doubling back on your point about, in the Dominican Republic and them watching, I know to an extent, people are like, just because someone's from your nation that you might not be cheering, etc. But I remember when I was young and Donovan Bailey was representing Canada in the 100-meter race at the Olympics. And so he won the world title and broke the world record. And so he's the world champion coming into the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. And I remember, so he's representing Canada, and Canada didn't have a lot of people who were going to win a gold medal at the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
We're not that nation like the US, for instance, or China or whatever. When he was racing, people were let off work. I remember this. I remember people that didn't go to work. I remember everybody. I remember I was young. Like everyone in the streets and stuff all knew like you got to get back into your house to the TV by X o'clock because that's when it's going to drop. All the
Wow.
kids were gone. Everybody was inside. I remember the leak reading. All the adults were talking about it. I remember all my buddies on the phone were talking about it, and the world stopped for Canada when that race happened because our hero Donovan Bailey was going to race.
Wow.
I'm telling
Dude.
the biggest. And then and he won the gold medal, and it was when he won to say we were proud, and like all of a sudden we were walking around with our chest out. And like Canada doesn't win gold medals, but we beat like every other nation, the Americans who normally won, or Jamaicans who normally won. And I went to school, and we like the teachers like, this is what you talked about the next day in class. You know what I mean? This is what we all were talking about. It was a very big deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes people might not know you; they just know like you're from the same nation as me, and maybe you're in the same like size as me or whatever. There's just those similarities, like you said. And they
Mhm.
see you up there and they'll be like, let's go get them, huh? They'll be like, yeah, I get them, man. Yeah, I'll rally behind this. Let's rock and roll. Um, yeah, you can do things, man. People are watching. And it is to your point, it's bigger than yourself sometimes. And it'll get exponentially bigger as time goes. It's only
Yeah.
just begun. You haven't even hit the worlds yet. You haven't hit the world stage yet. And this is year one, which leads to my follow-up with you is, what do you see? How does this story starting to unfold for you? Do you think? Because this is year one at the worlds.
Mhm.
Whether or not you hit the Sheffield, okay, if you don't hit the Sheffield, like obviously winning the world title is number one.
Mhm.
If you do or don't hit the Sheffield, and then after that, is it like, look, I'm going to stay 59 kilos, go back to the world championships. If you don't hit Sheffield, that's the second goal. If you do hit Sheffield, you want a reign of terror and continue on, coming back and keep pushing, keep building, keep new people come, new rivalries, and you stay 59
Yeah.
and you do a dynasty. Or do you ever think maybe I do this from 25 to 30, and then maybe we take a little peek at what 66 is all about?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we start like, well, what are we looking at here?
I definitely haven't looked as far. I will say this. I have not looked far enough to say I will ever go up to 66. Just simply because I haven't maxed out the class. I am still making the weight comfortably. Like especially after my cut for PA Nationals, it was the most comfortable one. No sauna,
Hmm.
very, very little spitting, if that. And I cruise onto weigh-ins, chill. So that just tells me that there's still a lot left in the tank for me. And then also too, I want to build a legacy in the class, right? And I say that like Fedoshenko when he was competing, it's like you would hear it like when I watch some of the his previous world championships. Well, here comes Fedoshenko. We know that if he hits his openers, it's a done deal. And I'm just like, dang, like how dominant do you have to be for like everybody to just like just dismiss every single other athlete, which is just it's just what it is. I don't think anybody meant disrespect, but facts don't care about feelings, right?
Right.
Um, and it was just that thing that when Fedoshenko came out, hit his openers, all right, we know who won gold. And also, and that's the level I want to get within the class. Like I want to be untouchable before I would consider moving up because I don't want to like what if I do this year, next year, and then somebody starts coming up and then I leave. I'm not looking like I run away from nobody, you
Mm.
know. So and that's why something that for with that being said too, that's why someday before I leave the entire class as a whole, if I do leave someday, I need to face Fedoshenko. I need to face him. Whether that's him getting unbanned and coming into back to the IPF, like I need to face this boogeyman because I don't see him as a boogeyman because he breathes, bleeds, and he lifts weights just like I do. So I want to face him and really test battle test him in the sense of nobody's ever played with him or played the games with him like the 93s do with each other, like the 66ers are getting ready to do with each other, where every kilo matters. Nobody's done that with him. So nobody's seen him under pressure. And I want to be that person to it's like, yeah, I get it. You can cruise into a win just because you're who you are, but how do you perform under pressure when you have to make a call on your second or third deadlift that you're not sure that you're going to be able to hold on to. Because when it's come down to it, he has mislift. Even when it's just him out there, doing his thing, he has mislift under no pressure, aside from being at Worlds. So what does that look like when you got somebody at your tail that has the skills and ability to beat you? And I do want that opportunity someday before I leave the class. So, for sure, assuming Russia is not banned for the next decade, it would definitely have to be before I consider doing anything about moving. It would have to be after facing Fedoshenko.
Dude, he comes back and you're there to welcome him. And you're like, well, welcome back, King.
Welcome
Guess
back.
what? Guess what? You advocated your throne, and we're on some Game of Thrones shit right now. Okay, there can't be two kings.
Exactly.
Right? Well, there's only one throne. We're gonna have to battle it out. That would be that. I think you coming and establishing yourself, and as big as you could build this, Fedoshenko comes back for the first time ever. We would have like a mega showdown in the 59s.
Yes.
And we talk about the elevation for that class. That would be the pinnacle right there, my friend. Yes. Fedoshenko comes back, and now it's like everyone be like, okay, you know what? This year, for the first time ever, in terms of like showdown. And God bless other 59s. Maybe they start making a push as well.
Correct.
More people start showing up because you showed up out of nowhere. 2.5 years, you're here.
Exactly.
In 2.5 years, God knows who shows up. The more popular you get, the more popular the class gets, the more people start coming on board.
Exactly.
Which is good. That's good for everybody.
Exactly. And I hope that does become someday, because I get it. It's hard to be a fully grown adult and be 130 pounds or 140 and cut down. I get it. It's difficult. Nobody wants to be that small. Every guy's ambition is to be big, strong. That's usually the stereotype or whatever. So that's why the class itself has never been that deep. But I think Sheffield changed that, dude. I think Sheffield is gonna, and again, I think that's gonna be one of those things where now that it's simple. As long as the criteria doesn't change, it's 636. You go to Sheffield. Who does not want to go to Sheffield? It doesn't matter if right now you had somebody in high school that just lifted and did 400 kilos. They probably watched Sheffield and said, I can do that someday. And you never know, because now it's there, right? It's the mark that you have to hit, 613, ticket guaranteed. So all you have to do is get there, and it's just it's there, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, it's up for grabs, which is
it's like who's gonna grab it first?
Yeah, and it's gonna get tougher and tougher. Do you think that's why this World Championships has so many people? Like, why do you think this Worlds is so stacked?
I think a lot of that Sheffield, but I also if you watch junior world, yeah, you watched it because you were there. But there were a lot of juniors who are no longer juniors. That it's either they wait they go up a weight class, or B, they turned around and after junior worlds they are doing open worlds because they're no longer juniors. So a lot of the juniors that did this past junior worlds graduated out of juniors and now are in the open.
And also, I just saw this right now. Previous years, it was all in the same event, juniors and open. Now that it's two different events, somebody
Hmm.
like Jad Jacob, for instance, or
Hmm.
Natalie, I think she's still a junior, right? Natalie Richards? I believe so.
Good question. I don't know.
Around there, anyways. But either
Yeah.
way, there's a lot of lifters that can do both. Like Jad Jacob did both in 2022. She did juniors as well as the open. Like you have these options. So now you, if you're good enough for both, you could do both. You could win both titles, fly around the world. Some
Yeah.
nations they get supplemented in terms of flying around and whatnot. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, I'll go to different parts of the world and compete, make a national team, just keep making memories. What the hell, man? You
Exactly.
know, so yeah. And I
And
yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, and I do think too, though, there is a wave of juniors that are graduating up,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they're good enough now. Where previous years juniors were a little further behind. Nowadays, man, it feels like the median's getting younger and younger that are
Yeah.
becoming top contenders.
Yeah. And then you know what too, with the like folks like yourself interviewing a bunch of individuals like the Kendrick podcast when you had him on. I consumed a lot of knowledge, but when you have so much more information out there too, it won't surprise me if you see a lot of people's also start cutting down to weight classes because hey, maybe dropping X amount of body weight won't affect my lifting too much as long as I take my time and this and that. So I'm sure you're gonna start seeing a lot of that with younger lifters coming into the sport to whether this to be more competitive, to just give themselves a better opportunity, whatever it might be. But there's simply more knowledge out there that allows people to make better choices for their powerlifting career. And that's what I think it is too as well. It's like people are seeing, all right, if I hire a nutritionist, like all of a lot of the top level athletes, they all have nutritionists to take care of that for them, so that they can make sure they drop the weight healthy, get onto game day accordingly. And I think because of the impact of social media, a lot smaller lifters are starting to realize that hey, we can do this. It doesn't just have to be three people at Worlds.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people that like now, when you start looking at, for instance, like yeah, the World Championship Sheffield opportunities floating around, and they might look at 59s and be like, well, you know what? That's looking vulnerable to me. I think I could hit these numbers. And all of a sudden they listen to these podcasts to your point about like nutrition and what, and they're like, I never even thought about nutrition. I don't look at my nutrition. I
Yeah,
bet you I could cut and retain some strength like Evie Corrigan. If
correct.
I if I
Oh my
I
gosh.
think I could do
Yeah, yeah,
this. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden it's like, so then you have like previously another reason why the 66s probably weren't as full is because there probably were like Penna wasn't even a 66 in 2019. He was a
yep,
74. You know,
yep.
how many people were like Penna, 74s who were, I mean, he was decent, top 10 in the world. He was, going to world championships, whatever. How many people were like that? And now Penna is like diced at
Mm-hmm.
66. It takes a lot.
Yep.
Previous generations would not be doing all those things to get diced and ready to rock and roll. Now they are. So
Correct.
those smaller weight classes, they're going to get filled up.
And also too, I mean, the sport is growing. People are seeing what's out there, what's possible. I know you guys haven't said or the IPF hasn't said much about what's possibly coming with in the future with raw powerlifting, but people can easily put the pieces together and figure out what's down the pipeline. And that's huge. How many people are going to be willing to fully commit, or how many are not committed all the way right now, that if they were, what weight class would they land on or whatever, to be more because I mean, to be honest, when I 2.5 years ago, when I was 78 kilos, part of the reason that led me to commit to the 59s was the simple fact that it was open. Like I was looking at, all right, so all I gotta, like, and at the time I was like, so all I gotta do is squat this, bench this, deadlift this, and I can be top what? Okay. I just have to take the sport serious and look at what I'm eating, and that's it. It's just gonna take more individuals to just not look at it, because at the time when I started, it was just a hobby for me. It kind of is now, just at a higher level, because since I'm not making a lot, crazy money from the sport, or barely any, I should say. But It just takes people just taking it, not treating it as a hobby, and just taking it serious and committing to the task at hand. And if that means going down a weight class and going down to 59, or future people coming down to 59, then let that be it. So that way there is more eyes on the class, because it needs it. It's a fun class. I truly do. It's a fun, and it's crazy. I mean, the things we do, it's sometimes it doesn't get translated, I guess you can say, in the way that it should, because it is, it's a smaller total, for example, right? Like when you look at the average total, or like the total that won worlds is 565. And it's like, oh, 565, whatever. It's not a crazy thing, but at the same time, that's more than 9 times the dude's body weight. But in the Dots or Wilkes perspective, you're probably looking at like a 450 there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, so here's the thing though, as we move forward, you could easily foresee like the podium at Worlds being, as long as everybody's strength goes up, 600 kilos and up
yes.
for the 59s. And
Yeah.
that's period, whatever. Like if here's one thing that is entertaining that people will enjoy, that you see in Olympic lifting, for instance.
Mhm.
For a man in the like underneath 130 pounds in the 59 kilo class to be bench pressing in the 300s is crazy wild for people to see. They're like,
Yeah.
holy,
Yeah.
for a man under 130 pounds to be deadlifting 550 pounds and up. For people go to the gym now, you go to a normal gym now, 550 gets loaded and it's a big muscular guy who's smashing that and he's very proud of himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people tune in, I get it. People will love to see like the big guys shifting big weights, but there is something about watching a 130-pound man shifting 550 pounds.
Yes.
You can't tell me that's not impressive. To an extent, previously the 59s, except for Fedoshenko, but previously the 59s didn't quite have that.
Right.
It wasn't quite that wow fact. The numbers weren't up yet. Now the numbers are starting to surface around that level where people are going to see it and be like, that's just impressive, period. You needed that though. It couldn't just be impressive for your size. Right. It had to be impressive, period. If I go to the gym now, a lot of goals that big jacked muscular guys are going to have are like deadlifting in the mid 500s, squatting 500 pounds. Well, you'll see that in the 59s. Bench pressing 300 and up. Well, you'll see that in the 59s. So like a jacked guy is like, I want to squat in the 500s. And a guy who's 130 at Worlds might be like, I want to squat in the 500s. Like you have that. So that actually transcends. It actually, now it does. Now it's like people like, okay, I got you. Wow, that's very impressive. They needed to see that though. Yes. The numbers had to catch up to that, and we're here now. And it'll only get better in the future. That's another thing that I think the 59s are going to enjoy marching forward as the standard keeps going up. And guys like you come in and bring it up another step. And then more people like, I want to be like Wascar. And it just keeps going up. It'll just get more and more popular as the numbers increase. And the 66s have done it. Now they're all in the 700 kilo range. So it doesn't matter how big you are. We got 66s pulling over 700 pounds. If you're a regular gym dude, you might be like, am I going to like watching a 145 pound man lift? It's like, do you like watching 700 pound deadlifts? I don't know. If you like if you like weightlifting, if you're going to watch powerlifting, you're probably going to watch that. Yes, you'll be entertained. Don't worry. And watch a guy like, here's another thing that people like Pana, like a grind, like it's crazy. Like it's going to be entertaining. Yes. And it'll be like Pana will be grinding in the mid 500s for crazy amounts or whatever. So it'll be, all we needed was that catch up, I think. Yeah. And this is where the shining light on the class and bringing attention to the class brings more competition to the class, brings more opportunities. And then, so you need each other.
Yes, no, we do. And it's exciting, man. It's truly amazing to see the 19, like you said it already, 19. That is a crazy number for the 59s. I can't believe there's gonna be 2 flights for the 59. That's like another
2 flights, man. International.
That is wild.
You almost want to be in the warm-up room like you're going to be in your game. You almost want to be in the warm-up room, look around like, hey, fucking, hey, fellas, are we here? What's going on right now? Is everyone happy? Is everyone vibing like I am right now, fellas? Look around the room, be like, damn, we did it, didn't we?
We did it, man. You know, and it's again, it's one of those things where people are gonna start tuning in because who knows where things, and not just the fans of the sport looking at like whether you're there lifting or watching somebody or watching looking forward to watching somebody lift. Now you have 19 other, for example, families tuning into the class,
Yeah.
19 other groups of friends
Yeah.
tuning into the class. So it's just all just that culmination of just the 19 individuals. Like you said, we need each other because those 19 individuals are going to bring in, let's call it 100 more viewers or whatever it might be that weren't there the previous years because there was not that many of us.
Well, when people tune in on Eurosport, because the people watching the stream are already powerlifting fans. That's cool.
Yeah.
But the thing with Eurosport, when people are tuning into Eurosport and it goes to all those different nations, and they're also, again, I can't like confirm deals or anything, obviously, but there's a lot of progress on all the media side as well as event side.
Cool.
Like they're like, I mean, like World Games, you know, I can't, you know, I gotta choose my wording because I've been like, I get myself in trouble when I say too much. And they're like, dog,
blink twice. Hey, Ryan, blink twice if
yeah, exactly. But Gaston himself had made that one comment that I clipped and threw in the stories where someone said, what's stopping us from making the World Games also raw? And Gaston said, nothing is stopping us. And then it goes, and he's like, we know what we have to do. Just give it some time and whatever. So put a pin in that. And so what I'm saying is when World Games, and this is on all different media outlets, etc. So when all these nations, when people tune in, it's like Gen Pop watching, and they're like, holy shit, there's like 130-pound men squatting 500 pounds and pulling 550. They'll stop at that curiosity level and be like, wow, take a look at this. Holy smokes. And then that's when you're so-and-so in Europe and you're like, fuck, that guy's from my nation. I got a guy in here. There's a guy from my nation. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody lifting, but that guy's from my country.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, let me see how he does. That's where having 19 is good because you're represented. And people, the representation at World Games, the representation at Worlds, that's where you'll bring other people in. Because when people find you, I do admit when the Summer Olympics are on, and I'm an Olympics guy. Like it's just on in the background. I love it. So I have the Olympics rolling. And if I see Team Canada, I'm like, all right, let's go, Playboy. Let's see what, let's see. All right, we finished. If he's probably not in contention for podium, like, let's get top 10 then. You know, you just whatever. You start moving the goalposts, obviously, for you.
Yeah.
But it helps, man. It helps a little bit. And opportunities in the future, again, for yourself. If you start making World Games and you're in the athlete compound with all the other athletes from all the different sports, and it's on those, like, I don't know if you've seen the World Games opening ceremonies. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level. You show up, you're representing USA, but you're also representing the 59 kilo class. You're also doing things, and you want to put on a show. So people are like, damn, I just watched a 130-pound man just murder it, and it was crazy what he was able to do. And then you show up at Sheffield and you seen what the fellas do when they put on, and the ladies do when they put on a show, like a Gavin Aiden style. When you show up at either World Games, Sheffield, Worlds, whatever it is, because you know there's going to be a big reach.
Yeah.
If you have in mind, Wascar, a little bit of show goes a long way, and you let them know. Be like, people are going to go tomorrow morning, they're going to wake up, they're going to go to work around the water cooler or the coffee machine, and they're going to be like, and saw a 130-pound man just rip shit the other day, and holy smokes, man, it was wild. And you come out there confident, and you know, you do your damn thing, and put on a bit of showman on it, and you're a charismatic dude. It almost helps to be small. You just got to make it your thing.
Yeah.
Everybody is around $180 lifting weights or $190. That's average.
Yeah.
But you want to be average? No.
Different.
You know what? Be
gotta
different.
go.
Be different, man.
Yes.
Be 130 pounds and deadlift 600 pounds and see what's up. And
Hey,
throw
put
your
a pin
hands
in that. Hey, put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. And then see what's up. And then throw your hands up and be like, there it is. There it
Yeah.
is, right? I'm hitting your goals at half your body size. There it is, man.
Dude, that
It's possible.
it is possible, man. It really is. And everything that you nailed it, dude. You literally nailed it because um right now we don't have I guess you can call it myself to represent the class or potentially do these things at this time. But because of the asterisk that Fedoshenko has, we will never we don't have that right now. We don't have somebody that, man, we're gonna have that little guy at potentially the World Games. We're gonna have a little guy at Sheffield. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, nobody's there.
Yeah.
And dude, that is such that's why I say it's bigger. It's bigger than just winning a world championships. It really is. It's
In
crazy.
being smaller previous, like it's only that until someone comes. And let's use the same analogy we said earlier, where people were like, nobody cares about the 59s. They're too small. It's only that until the right 59 comes. And then because he's the guy that actually works it as an advantage, a disadvantage. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm the guy that'll let's have a crew follow me to the gym and get people's reaction when I load up 600 and I'm 130 pounds. Let's do that. Let's target gyms where I show up and there's a bunch of gym bros there and I start smashing their weights when I'm 130 pounds. Let's do that. No. When you show up at Sheffield, you think because I'm smaller, people aren't going to be impressed? No. You'd be like, this is my advantage, my friend.
Yeah.
This isn't the con, but you got to be able to see things that you need the talent to
Right.
be able to shift weights. Previously, we had Fedoshenko, but we wouldn't have had a 59 that could lift heavy enough. Check. You got that. Good. You need the talent. Now you need also, you're American, you speak well, charismatic, good looking guy, full-time job, family man, wife, kid, very everyday man. People can relate. You know how many people are like, you're killing it. Wait till you have a kid. Wait till you have a full-time job. Wait till you have responsibilities. And you're like, you want to talk that? My man, it would be that. It would be like, well, there are people who have full-time jobs, married kids, and are like, it's very difficult, man. Do I got to say no to my dreams? And a guy like you can speak to and say, no,
Nah.
you make it work if you need to make it work.
Mhm.
This is, so you got a lot of boxes checked in your favor. And then the
Yeah.
one that you could look to as an advantage is this, to be like, I'm
Yeah.
different. I'm different.
It
And
is.
you embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're taking words like you're a very good speaker, obviously, but like you're taking words out of my mouth, dude. It's like, and it's truly an honor. As like I don't say it lightly. It really is an honor to be in this seat currently, and it's still like there's nights where I close my eyes and I'm just thinking to myself, just in my thoughts, and I'm like, I'm really about to do this. Like it is, and it's like it's really wild, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be in the position I am. And it's really is a crazy position, and it's something I'm still getting used to. Some people have it like that and it's natural to them to just go with it. It's new to me, dude, and I am learning how to navigate these waters. Because it's a crazy thing. I don't think like people that get to this level don't speak about it much, whether it's because they don't want to admit it or it's natural to them. But it's wild. It is
Mm.
crazy, to be in a position to be the face of something. That's crazy. It's crazy.
It's happening quick to you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like and it's about to it's about to happen. Like you're about to go to the worlds, and here's a couple things that I would say is when you're there and you're at worlds, and you've seen the pictures and the videos, you've seen what it's all like. Everyone's taking all the group pictures, group videos, they're all hanging out. Don't stay in your room. Don't
Mhm.
be present.
Yeah.
Shake as many hands as possible, make as many friends as possible, many connects as possible. And and this is where it's going to happen is like when you're in the pictures, you start doing collab work and whatever, because it's not just for yourself, it's for your class. And when you become the world champion of the 59s, it's for the 59, it's for the health of the division. So when
Yeah.
you start linking up, you're talking about Pana, you'll meet Pana. You'll meet Leah Bavoy. You'll meet Jessica Bittner. You'll meet, hey, you're going to meet all these people in real life from all
Yeah.
over the world, man. You're going to meet me. Well, we met Playboy. We met
We
at
met,
the
yeah.
PA Dance. We're going to meet again, but we're going to keep doing these things, right? The more people you meet, keep dapping people up and doing your thing. Cause realize that, the more you make these headways and start doing collabs and videos and stuff like that and reach out and be that guy and start building bridges and connections. And then they'll think of you when they're doing, different social media things. And this is what also going to help for the 59s. You're your own PR guy. And the more PR you do, like you're coming on a podcast now, and this is great. This is lovely.
Yeah.
But it is possible. Once you win the world title, then it becomes like, what am I going to do with this? And then it's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you just push, man. You got it. Whether World Games opens up, Sheffield, whatever, keep pushing. And the longer you can push, and if someone else new comes into the class that starts riding your heels, it's like, oh, good.
Yes, good. Because that'll create the conversations and who's gonna take it. And then people are gonna be tuning in to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, for sure, man. It'll start. This is the first step. It's exciting. It's exciting because you're like, right there. Let's see what's about. Let's see it.
Charlie Yang told me it the simplest and the best way. Just finish the job. Like I'm here. I got the opportunity. I got the job. Now I just got to finish it.
That's
Simple
right.
as that.
That's right.
That.
It's dude, I can't wait to see you in Malta. I can't wait to see you do your thing. And have fun, man. Embrace it all. And it's kind of good. You get to bang it out first, get it out the way, and then you can go into, is your wife going to be there with you, with your son?
Yeah, my wife and son, they're both coming.
Okay. So obviously you got to have that family time and the whole nine as well. But I would very much encourage you to hang out with as many people, treat it a little bit like some PR stuff as well, and try to hang out, because that's what a lot of other people do for good reason. And you can get a lot of pictures, videos, and content that you'll be able to drop throughout the year and be able to talk to and speak on, and this is how you start. You start building, young man.
That's good advice, because I was gonna be home and buckled up in my room, just waiting to step on the platform, dude.
I mean, there's something to be said. You got to be, because you got the task at hand. That's true. That's true. But when you're done, how long are you sticking around after you're done? Like,
no, unfortunately, I bounce out there on the 13th because I have to. The way my PTO at work worked out, I was expecting Worlds to be a week later than it actually is. So I started on a specific holiday to have enough time to have 2 weeks off so I can be there longer. It didn't play out that way, so I have to work actually the following Friday.
Okay. So the 13th, when does the World start? Refresh my memory on the
June 11th.
11th. Okay.
But I'm gonna be there as of the 6th. And I mean the first few days early on, if anybody's there, I mean, I'm gonna be chilling. Where that's game all day. It's more, I would say, more like the last 2 days before competition is more where I like to myself, getting ready kind of deal and all that good stuff. Yeah,
I would say like you're gonna find at Worlds, and it's I'm talking about, I get goosebumps all over. But you chill in the lobby of the hotel, and like it's like international stars come through in our sports. All the biggest names in our sport just come through in the lobby from all over the world. At any given time, chilling in the lobby, you just chill down there reading a book, and you don't know who you're going to run into. And I would very much encourage you, and everyone's friendly. Everybody is like, you roll up on something like, hey, man, you mind if I get a picture with you? And they'll be like, let's do this. And you could take some fun pictures or whatever, like me and you did when we were at PA Bats, whatever. Just be as outgoing as you can be when you can be, and take as many pics and videos as you can. And do your damn thing. You'll have a good time.
We'll do. Yeah.
Do you want to play the name game, sir?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do the name game. So for everyone listening, I say a name, and Wascar can say one word, 2 words, a story, or, as little as much as you want. But sometimes it's just word or name, word, name, word. Sometimes it's just that even. Okay. Yeah. All right. Name game begins. The current champion, Antoine Garcia.
Take it easy. I don't know. I feel like homeboy's always maxing out in the gym.
Maybe. Yep. Fair enough. the 59 kilo goat, Sergey Fedyashenko?
Uh, I guess probably unfinished story, I guess you can call it. It's a or tarnished story or of what could have been because I feel like a lot of people that compete in tested powerlifting, um, it doesn't matter to them like myself. It's like once you make a decision like that and you fail the drug test, it's like you will never get that level of respect back. That's why, John Jones, some people will never consider him the GOAT because of the fact that he has a failed test, whether it was a picogram or whatever it was. He failed the drug test. So man, what could have been?
Yeah. And perhaps a passing of the torch to come. Let's
Exactly.
see. Let's see that this,
I got
Brian,
the torch.
that's there's another one passing of the torch. The 66 kilo American champ, Brian Lee.
Future world champion.
Ooh, we got a prediction.
Yes.
Okay. How about this one then? Former world champion, Pana.
Inspiring. Very much inspiring. He is an individual who, when I came across his page, um, he had many could have during his climb to where he's at currently, and when he got to the top after winning worlds or hitting the 700, I believe at Euros, he's taken a couple falls, and he doesn't make excuses. He gets right back up, keeps his head high, and keeps moving forward because he understands that it's bigger than him. So it's truly inspiring.
I also love what you said earlier about like he's so passionate. It's such a it's so awesome. He's a great talk because he is a passionate dude.
Yeah, that was one of the when he was on just in the just his most recent one when you had him on. I've listened to his things in the past, but when I seen that he came back on, bro, I had it on and it did not come off until it was finished.
Yeah, it's the dude. There's some of them like that, huh?
Dude, he's a great talker, it's very relatable, very easy to relate to him, and his passion to win is very relatable because I'm like that too. It's like I'm here, I'm putting in all these hours into this, I'm doing that. It's like the passion to win from him is so relatable. That it's so easy to talk to listen to him.
Yeah, agreed, dude. I love talking to that guy. Jesus Oliveras.
Oof. Future GOAT. Future GOAT. Yes.
If you guys both win worlds, you guys got to get a picture together. The biggest
That's
world champ,
one
the smallest. You got to.
I am looking forward to taking a picture like that with him.
And one of you guys squaring off like two MMA guys. You have to, have to. You want to talk PR stuff? This is the stuff you do. This is the
Yes,
stuff you
dude.
do.
That is the one I was really looking forward to seeing him at PA Nationals, and after he didn't show up, I was like, all right, it is what it is. But yeah, because I have a picture with Ray Williams at the Arnold, and it's literally it is the most comical picture that I probably have on my phone.
But when it comes to it's better at worlds because if you're both world champions, this is
Yes.
something like you picture the IPF would love because it shows the smallest world champion and the biggest world champion, and it just shows people in our sport from one side right to the other, all shapes and sizes, and everything in between,
That's
and
amazing.
everything in between.
That's
And
true.
it's a beautiful quick snapshot of our sport. What makes
Yeah,
our sport? Come one, come all. We got a spot for you. And you could be,
that's
you could,
actually
it's a beautiful thing. That's why that picture needs to happen. If the IPF don't post it, Playboy, I'm going to on King of Lifts anyway. So I want that pick
let's
myself.
go.
But how about this one? Russell or he?
Part of my story.
Okay.
A chapter in my story.
Evie Corrigan.
menace. To do what she did is she's a menace for that. And I love the fact that she gambled and she put all the chips in on one and she believed in herself and got it done. Amazing.
I got a feeling when people listen to your podcast, Kedrick's, it is going to encourage people to think, like you said, be like, I wonder if I can make this weight class. All of a sudden it's like, well, let's see what happens.
I know. All of a sudden, next year you have everybody shift down a weight class.
Dude, there'll be a ripple effect. There'll be a few people anyways, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How about this fellow teammate of yours under Steve Denovi, Natalie Richards?
I've only spoken to her a few times, but from what I've gathered for her is determination. She is determined to finish the job, and I more than likely she will be another world champion as well.
Okay, there's a more than likely. Let's talk about Shad Jacob.
Whew. She's got a battle coming.
She's got a battle. I love how you stood firm behind Natalie and Team USA, but yeah, it's a good one too, huh?
Yeah, it is. I'm excited to watch that class. I am very excited, and I am honored to be there in person to be able to watch it. So it's gonna be a good one to watch.
Last name on the list, Steve Denovi.
Whew. Ah, man. Yeah, there's definitely not one word. So he will be the reason that I do, like, in the sense of an individual that outside of, like, he's my coach, right? But somebody that when I came to him and I told him the things that I wanted to do, he's seen what I had already done. He never doubted me. He never made me feel that, hey man, let's try to get this done first before we start thinking like big. I One of the things that I like to say to myself is, and I try to live by, is if your dreams aren't big enough, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And when I came to Steve, I told him all these dreams and aspirations that I had that I wanted to do within the sport. And he never made me feel like it's not possible. Like, hey, man, maybe you should do this first before you start thinking of that. And he is somebody that truly believes in my abilities, even when some days I don't. There's I can't, it's countless times I get done with the training week and Steve will look at my training and he'll just be like, all right, man, if you just you know what you're capable of, you've done, and this kind of reminds me, like, you know what you're capable of, you've done this before, what's 5 more pounds, it's there, you just gotta dig deep, and just, he's somebody that truly believes in me, and he will be one of the biggest reasons that I do something great in the sport.
Well said. Before I let you go, looking at the World Championships, what is your obviously biased take because you're on Team USA, and you'll be one of the people contributing points.
Yeah.
But when you get a gold medal, you contribute 12 points, silver 9 points, 8 points, 7 points, so on and so forth down. Without crunch, I know you didn't crunch numbers weight class by weight class with predictions, but do you see Team USA taking the men's title and the women's title? Do you think off the top of your head? I don't know how much you've looked into it, but
I think on the men's side, like, respectfully, I think we might sweep it respectfully. The women's side, I think it's a toss up, and that's just being honest. The French women are are they're
Dog.
they're stacked. It's as simple as that. They're stacked. They got shooters. It's a fact. But on the men's side, when we're looking just simply based on nomination, seeing what people have done in the past, and if everybody shows up on their A game, I mean, as of right now, in every single weight class, every American is either nominated first or second.
Or
So
third in the 105s with Michael Davis.
okay, or third, yep. And even then,
Or
Mikey.
actually 120s with Tony Cliff. Frig, I forgot about the 120s.
Okay. Even then with even with Mikey, I mean, he's potentially, if he puts it together, one pull away from winning as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair.
You know? So I think that if we all put it together, and that's actually one of the other things too, is like I'm the first American to take the platform this year. Just the way the schedule planned out. So, you know, set the momentum right, win gold, and hopefully have that nice domino effect for the rest of the Americans to just bring home as much gold as possible.
Is it something that, you know, when you make the national team,
Mm-hmm.
like obviously you hit the platform solo, but when you make the national team, is it something you take pride with to recount when you relive your story down the road to future generations, to be like, yeah, I made the national team. I became a world champion. In the year I was on the national team, our men's national team won the worlds as well.
Yes.
As part of a winning team that year.
Correct. Yes, that is, it's truly an honor to be in that position, and to, you know, potentially be part of something that not only did I win, but the rest of these 8 of individuals, we all won together, and we came together, and all of us put it together on the day, and out of X amount of nations, X amount of other men, we won.
Yeah. And it's the best of the best. It's you want to be the dream team of 1992 or whatever the hell. You don't want to be the dream team that Kobe came. You don't want to be the dream team that ended up the one year that they lost.
Exactly.
This is what makes it kind of exciting too, man. Like there were times in the women's where it came down to you need to win, like Megan Scanlon, that 63 kilo class when Leah didn't make weight. The entire podium had the exact same total. She won on body weight, and she needed to clinch those 12 points and not 9. They had to have that swing. They needed these points for Team USA to take this national or the world title. Like, it gets exciting sometimes. And when it's bigger than you, you know, you've said this several times about bigger than me. It is like, all right, well, I did my 12 points towards the team.
Right.
Let's go. Hand it off. Let's go, fellas. And you're kind of watching, like, let's all celebrate at the banquet afterwards or whatever. You know, I know you won't be at the banquet, but still, you'll still be like, let's look back on this year and be like, we took that world title too, huh?
We took that, you know? And then essentially, you know, the domino, like, you know, the French women weren't there a few years back, and now they're here, and they want to stay. They want to. I'm sure they're coming into this world championship like, we're winning this one, and we're gonna take the next year and next year and next year, right? So it's about starting that domino effect. I mean, we haven't had as big of a spread in weight classes, like starting from the 59 for the Americans all the way to the heavyweights. I think is the 93s the only one that doubles up this year, right? I think for America, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because you can only double up one. That's true.
Yeah. So I believe this might be, I might be completely wrong on this, but this might be one of the first or few years where we have such a big spread of Americans coming in instead of being stacked in different weight classes. So it's pretty cool to be part of that as well. And it's like, let's start that domino effect of just like winning almost every class, let's call it, and just sweeping it.
Yeah. You know what, to your point, when you said sweep initially, the 120s, you don't have a 120. So in your defense, you're not lying. You don't have a 120 in there. So you kind of take the 120s out. You mean like you could sweep all the classes you're in. So sorry, I kind of just for anyone listening. Yeah. Like you wouldn't for that effect, because obviously 120 plus Jesus, 120. You don't have a lifter in there. 105, you got Michael Davis, who for sure, I mean, he's got Anatoly in there. He's got stiff opposition, but Michael.
Correct.
Michael goes 9 for 9. Who knows? Let's see what he does.
Yep.
Obviously, US 93s, you got Gavin Aiden and Kaiko. On the flip side, Gustav is back, and Gustav hit 880. It's crazy. In the 93s, 1 through 4 is separated by 4 kilos. I mean, it's in the 93s. Poor Jonathan Keiko never had an easy day. It's always 4 kilos, 4 kilos. Like there's nothing separating these men. They're
Dude,
all, because Gustav Hedlund did 880 as well. Like Gavin
yeah,
just did 880. Gustav did 880. So they're killers, man. We'll see what
yeah,
happens. The
that's gonna be
93s,
a fun class.
it's crazy. It's going to be amazing. To your point further, 83s, Delaney Wallace defending world champ, 835. But I mean, Jurens is in there. In the 74s, the GOAT, Taylor Atwood, but Taylor's injured, not 100%. The rest of the 74s are killing it. Tim Matagatti's come down from the 83s and still hitting his 83 numbers in training. This is going to be scary. So
Yeah,
it's, so
maybe
there's
maybe he was talking to Kendrick a little.
dog, I don't know what's happening right now, but it's crazy. But to your point, Taylor's got a dogfight on his hands, but
Yep, yep.
he could take it. So you could have the 74s, 66s, you got Brian Lee, and then 59s, you got yourself. So you're right in that. All the classes that American is represented, so that omits 120s, you guys could take this.
Mm-hmm.
You guys could do this. It's going to be tough. There's some battles ahead.
How cool would it be at the biggest world championships to be the team
Yeah.
win? That's also pretty cool. The biggest one yet. You turn around and win as a team. Like,
There's
that'd
going
be
to be some.
so cool.
It'll take some upsets. A couple of them are going to take some upsets, but it can happen, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to watch it.
Dude, I'm excited to be the first to take the platform and then be a spectator. Because as the days go on, man, I do not want to be Mike from the US team coach. I do
Yeah, no, it's stressful. And
dude.
that's the thing too, when it becomes like your national team coach. If you're a personal coach, it's one thing because you got your client.
Yeah, yeah.
And you owe your client but when it's your national team coach and people are tuning in and it's national team points as well, if you drop the ball you're going to drop the ball like every single, even the greatest coaches, NBA, NFL, you're going to make a play that people like, I think damn, I would have took that one back if I could. It's going to happen eventually. Like Matt Gary, who's the GOAT game day guy. He's like, I have fumbled the ball in powerlifting terms. I have fumbled the ball, loaded the wrong one and be like, oof, I think I cost us. And it's tough at a local meet or even a nationals. It's one thing because it's one lifter you're kind of impacting.
Mm-hmm.
When it's worlds and you just cost the national team, like instead of 12 points, you got 9 points. Every single other person on the team is like, who got their 12 points would be my man.
Yeah.
If we don't win now because of that, everyone watching damn, Team USA we could have used that. Like, that's tough. Those are swing moments where you're like, oh, damn it. You're like, Team USA drops from first to second if it's tight. It becomes like, okay. Ooh, that's harder to live. It's very stressful. I would way better handling stuff. I would way better handle at a national level or below than a world's when it's that.
Yeah, nah, I'm good on that.
And then the national team fed, when it's nationals, again, it's just your clients. When it's worlds, the people you get nominated as national team head coach, and the people who put you in place would be like, they fly you out and pay for you in the whole nine. And when you come back and the president's like, what kind of happened there, man? What happened, man? Like, there are some nations that are so into it, like so into the like on the game day handling side. They want to report on what your lifters were coming in, what they estimated the chances were for gold, silver, bronze, and then they want to report where your lifter ended up nominated, like afterwards, where they ended up ranking compared to the nomination, and then why you think that happened, and if you lost points. Because like right down the standing, when it's tight, when it's very tight, from getting your like, because some teams aren't going for first, some teams are going for let's finish top 5. Some teams need government funding based off of how they do. Some teams, it's everything, my man, in certain nations.
Wow.
So it's like if you get your lifter from 8th to 5th in top 5, it's a massive win for everyone in the nation. And you come home and the national fed is like, hats off, good job. Or you had your lifter nominated 5th, you come home and they end up 8th, and they're like, we got to talk because maybe we need another head coach next year. And
Dang,
that's conversation. Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. And that's where Worlds gets fun. Because when it's nationals, it's every man for himself, and it's cool. It's
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
fun. But at Worlds, it'll feel different when you're in the warm up room. You'll feel this. You'll feel this, man, because in those national teams, head coaches are looking at the big picture on everything. And
Yeah,
some nations, like some people get like paid doing this, and
yeah.
they get flown around the world. And it's nothing. Yeah, it's
Wow,
pretty
that's
intense.
amazing. See, like all of this side of the powerlifting like side, it's like I haven't learned it, right? So that's like this is all like thank you for this information. I'm sure I'm gonna learn a lot more once I get into
Yeah,
Malta and everything like that, the closer we get. But that's crazy, dude. Dang.
yeah. Well, Rory, who's done a lot of co-hosting with me, they talked about some of the performance indicators they did, like leading into and afterwards, and meetings they would do, and that's New Zealand. And New Zealand's a powerhouse as well. New Zealand's got some killers. Carlene in the 76 is obviously Evie Corrigan, Tim Monagatti, we already mentioned, and like they have a woman who just pulled the biggest deadlift in the IPF. She's like pulling 600 pounds.
I
She's
think yeah,
coming.
but
She's coming to this world's. No, sorry, she's from Australia. Sorry, but anyways, nevertheless, there's a lot of there are nations, they take it super duper serious, man.
yeah,
It's awesome. So when you watch worlds, I love battles. I love seeing what happened. Where do we end
yeah.
up? Where do we end up?
Yeah, I love it, man. And it's very exciting to now be have a better understanding, being involved, because now you see how, because when I early on when I used to listen to the King of the List podcast, I would like listen to you say stuff like it's like, oh, that's cool, man. That sounds cool and everything. It's like it's like you can't really comprehend it sometimes unless you're in the seat or you've been in the sport long enough to like, man, this really does impact this or impact, and it's like that's amazing. It really
Well,
is.
now you know too, not like you're a part of that.
Yeah.
You are now a part of that bigger picture I just mentioned. And when people go back in previous years, like powerlifting guys look back at certain years, like, well, who won worlds that year? What nation? Why did they come in second? Who was on that national team? What
Yeah.
happened? And they start looking at it like, well, that team actually comprised of, and they talk about the team like they talk about the dream team for the NBA. They're like, who's on the dream team of 2016? Well, who's on the dream team of this year? And they're like, oh, that year had Kobe. Well,
Yeah.
that year, 2023, they had Wascar in the 59s. That's right. I remember that stuff happens.
Ah,
You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, they won that year. That's right. That's right. They won that year and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, because Wascar won the 59s. Hey, and they go through it. This is also a part of your history that you get to recall, that you
that's
get to be
amazing.
a part of and tell your
Yeah.
son and everything and be like, yeah, that was cool. And every year's like that. Every year
Yeah.
changes, faces change. Did you look at France, man? Jad Jacobs relatively like faces change, man, and you'll show up. Whatever, man. It's just layers to it. It's amazing, man.
Hey, just know if we get it done, I mean when we get it done, and then we make Sheffield, and I start calling myself Triple C because we got the USAPL champion, powerlifting America, and then world champion. I mean that's Triple C right there. So
There it is, dude. Oh my God, that's true.
if you
That's
start doing
true.
if you scroll on my Instagram 3 months from now and start seeing some goofy stuff, just know it's just me trying to grow the class, man. All right, I'm gonna
You're
put it
doing
here
what you
right
got.
now.
You're doing what you got to do, man. Let them talk.
Hey,
As long as just you could say good, say bad, just talk about me. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Talk about us all. Let's go. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Dude, this is a good conversation.
Thank you. Yes, it was, man. I was all nervous, but the second we started talking, it kind of just it flowed and it was awesome. Thank you, man.
It's just regular chat. That's the good thing. It's just free flow and regular chat. There's no
Yeah,
yeah. And dude, you're a good talker.
appreciate it.
You're a funny guy, charismatic dude, good storyteller, and you're a good storyteller, and your story's just starting.
Thank you.
Wait until you'll have some stories after Worlds because you're gonna see a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I look forward to it.
we'll talk
Yeah.
again, man. We're obviously gonna see each other in Malta, but
Yes.
let's do some follow-up podcasts and whatnot on the other side of all this craziness. Let's see how
Let's
the
do
chips
it.
fall, and we'll get your impression on everything, and we'll take it from there, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you and thank you for the opportunity. It's truly is amazing to be on this podcast. One I only dreamed of getting posted on your page, let alone being here today. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll see you. I'll see you on the other side.
Dude, good luck. I love what you're doing with the 59s and freaking I'm in your corner, man.
Thank you.
I'm with you. I'll I'll give you as much push as I can, man. And I
Sounds
hope
like a plan.
I wish you all the success, and let's see what we could do with these 59s, man. I believe in you. I
Thank you.
believe in you. And everybody listening, please do subscribe, give us high ratings on whatever platform, and post up in your Instagram stories. I will repost, and give Wascar a follow. The guy's belting off amazing content. You're going to like it. And make sure you tune in and watch my man put on a show at the IPF 2023 Worlds. And let's give him some support and see if we can't get him at the Sheffield World Games and keep this thing moving. Keep
Yes.
this thing moving. All right. 6-pack Lapadat. 6 up. And we are out.